Asia kwaiswa ukoko. Pamwe achange ato FIFA president mangwana, you never know.
Right.
Zimbabweans, you play too much.
But anyway, let us move on. Thank you very much for that, advocate. I really appreciate. Right. Can I bring in all right. Okay. Can I bring in right? Oh. Okay. Can I bring in Baba Juju into the conversation? Please take the mic.
Thank you, host na co-host. First of all, history Dara, our commander.
Yeah.
He was the leader where presidential Gatungo coup. Then just after coup, about Zingwa Futu army of ambassador to Tanzania.
Yes.
Then about Futu from Tanzania who promote Mkuru Ema soldier. But Kanawam Mkuru is in the Dot soldier, Deutsche Baba.
Yes.
Then now, all of a sudden, demotion, what did the commander? From a minister, both at the cabinet, yes, the good ministry, I got security, defense, home affairs, no ministry judge. Sport who says a general, it's not nice. As you know, Matuka as Nabasa state security. What is a general, you know, I'm not going to sports issue. Who couldn't take sports?
But one is I any position again against security.
Tangaumuditse hawa bozi kudimotwa kuzapano headmaster pasikoro chinhu wakiyatika kusaizo kumumsiya
amana muzadaro mana
aiwa no amusi kutarisa gravity humiliation iri apa kumana from a top soldier mukuru anosarutwa nemunhu wese ande apa the previous weeks vaita mahandover takeover dai makatarisa zvaitika ndiyanga aripo vaita mahandover takeover mabaraki mazhinji tarisa news dzakaitika ndiyanga aripo vaita handover takeover pane zvikuitika ndizika then a top soldier of this kuministry isina basa sport takararama 2 years dzisina minister wakese vasipowana zvake zvokambena ukaina basa ministry votobvisira a top soldier because of politics and kwaari kuenda kwacho haana kana chanocontributa ngavatore zvake vamuendesa either ngadzokere kuambassador or vamusazvinobatsira nyaya kwete kumuhumiliata kwakadai sports sure sports ministry ndeizva arts and culture ndeizva and also disrespect iri kupiwa military tarisai zvaitaura naComrade Vanize vakataka rugeje kana musina kuzviziva vachitaura nemakredentials arugeje Comrade Vanize chaivo vakataura kuti panguva yekuu masoja hapana zvaakaita in fact vakazofoswa because bonyongo aida kusunga shiri zvokuti hapana zvinoitwa nemasoja. The level of disrespect iri kupiwa mauto edu iyoyo no tapedza hangu.
Right, yeah. Saka pakaipa handizo demotion handizokutojairirwa kwemunhu. Right. Can I bring in Dr. Sapiwa? Dr. Sapiwa, how are you doing?
Ango Jenza Maswera say.
Mwise Maswera irungo.
Maswera bozi zili say. I think the moment you become too predictable at this moment, that will become a security risk and a threat for your political survival. Movie MNANGAGWA was too predictable. And kwaisa Sanyatwe kwachiko hakuna chekuita zvekuti Sanyatwe
dzika mwendazi dzika
kwaisa Sanyatwe kwacho hakuna chekuita chaSanyatwe zvekuti you'll be still coming back to the barracks and reorganize himself or rearrange or still carrying on with his programs. So the move was too predictable at this moment. I was expecting something sophisticated or technically a little bit way better than what MNANGAGWA has done, than Kumuvisa Komisa, because it was written all over. So
right. I'm losing you, Mkoma. I'm losing you. Your network is.
Move MNANGAGWA. It's a little bit too predictable. You don't operate like that, especially at this moment. By name, my tensions are high. It's a security what is actually done. It's a confirmation that is not everything is.
Right. Mkoba, Adoda Tapiwa, there is something wrong with your network. I think you are losing, network. So, yeah, you're losing network in Mkoma. Right. Anyway, if we can retry again, if you can drop and then we'll bring you up. Tonzwa kutizo ninki conversation yenye munga continue. But I liked what you were saying, and I was eager to quite I was eager and continue sonzwa everything that you were actually saying. But the gainti unze right, okay, the gain unze gono pinda itinzo.
Aiwa, ndinotenda chose. Actually, ini pache zvangu ndichiona nokuongorora ndiri kutofara chaizvo neumaka yei nokuti this is a catalyst.
Okay.
Right, this is a catalyst. Number one. Number two, what MNANGAGWA Stan Muramburi mupwero wezvaaita uyu atibudisira mashoko pachena yekuti taibvunza kuti ko iye Sanyatwe wacho nezvaaita machanges, because pane machanges mazhinji aitwa mabarracks. Saka taida kuziva kuti machanges aya Sanyatwe ari kushanda zvakazara here naGeza. So in other words, he has confirmed to us kuti aiwa Sanyatwe ari kushanda naGeza panhau dzokuda kundibvisa. Ndo chechipiri, he has confirmed. Because kubvisa munhu panguva yakadai so kutotikonfemera. Chetatu, Sanyatwe haana kuendeswa minister of kutodzingwa basa. Into inopfuura demotion. Especially tichitasa ministry yacho. Ministry yakangofana neyouth ekayesports. Saka uko kutodzingwa. Even the word raashandisa pekuti relieved. Kudzingwa ikokoko. Kutodzingwa munhu pabasa. Asi zvasiyana manje nenguva yakadimotwa.
Andizo he has been terminated.
Exactly. Right. Saka apa this time manje zvasiyana nelast time yakamubvisa panga kuPG achienda kunoita ambassador kuTanzania. Why? Because at that time aibva to a lower position kumilitary. Right? Achienda kunoita ambassador. But now ari kubva paZN Commande, one of the most powerful positions in the army. Achinenda kunoitwa mahobo, the Minister of Sports, it's a shaming, kushora munhu. So I think now we are now going to see what iye pachezvake, because I want to tell you I'm very 100% sure in my analysis yekutoti Sanyatwe watoona kutotumirwa nevamwe kuti naiyo shamwari koona waunotudza nemhaka yeko kuti wabviswa akati handikutozviona haatozvizivi the same way akangoitwa Zigauke paakabviswa. So I think now these guys need to be very careful, because tofanira kuconsider zvakare kuti all the people vakabva kumatop positions ekumilitary vakaenda kuministry vakaenda. Saka now it's time for them kuti kana vanga vakaita kakuzorora vochironga kuti vaite zvinoitwa, kana vanga vakamira kuti vachadai apa pakutoda house arrest. This is my own analysis. Apachadi kuverengera because munhu ari kutoratidza kuti ari kuramba achiita zvaari kuita. Then also panhau iyoyo zvakare I think now it has confirmed kuti this Geza revolution pane zvinhu zvaitika kuseri zvanga zvanyanya kumuthreatena kusvika pakuita a desperate move yaita. This is a desperate move yaita. But iwo futi zvakare pane aripo uyo shumbowo zvakare uyo ari weak, asi vanda zvake waita ari weak, saka asokutemba naye kuti ari uko hamunhu angara ari weak uye haana chaanomisa. But kumilitary kwakasiyana nekumwe kunhu kwokuti you think kuti for example kwangofanira kuti Matanga paakabviswa as the commissioner general, it doesn't mean kuti akatova ma-connections achiri nawo. The same applies, and it's too late because mamoves akatorongwa kare. So I think this is a catalyst. So dai zvainzi ndinochoose kuti what would you choose? Because what I want is ED to go. Why? Because it's become a national security threat, and zvaita it proves so. So dai ndabvunza kunzi unodei kuti pamhepo iri kutenderera Sanyatwe aramba aripo kana kuti odzingwa, I would tell you I would choose that. Why? Because this is a catalyst.
Right.
So it's a decision yatora iri kuratidza kuti pane mhepo dziri kufamba dzekuti haachagoni kumeka ma-decisions, anowedzera kuzvigokera moto musi. So that's what I can say. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. I do appreciate quick and straight to the point. Right. Mwendas, do you want to come in? Mofu, after Mwendas, can you give us the next lineup? Right. So Mwendas, please come through.
Yeah, thank you, Nyamasisa. Mofu Titus Murise. Nyamasisa Mangolati, we are very loyal. I was the first guy on the space. That's what Sean was pricing again as not in the name comp. But anyway, speakers, greetings, listeners, greetings. Yeah, there are two things here. First of all, I'll say this one is a way of paving kuti shona chibata chimuti kuanyuku. They are disposing all the prominent people in the army so that mwana wake anga achizocontrola. Two, the second thing is Mnangagwa is poking. He doesn't know who is gonna come out with this 31st March. He's in darkness, so they will try and poke and see a reaction. So it's a trick. It's gonna be interesting the coming days up to the 31st. And also when you are moved away from the army, if you were the person who is coordinating things, they can be a little bit of an issue. People can have fear and all that, but that's Sanyatwe futhi indakamaka. Remember, he is one of takambotanza ti sarutema opposition what. But
Therefore, that's the agreement, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Zimbabwe we got an issue like some of these people we might think they can steer for us to have a liberation or a leverage. These people they've got something they've done also. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. But myself, I see it as Mnangagwa. I think I have to set up Mwanawake. And I'm telling you, if we let this happen, tapinta busy, guys. If there's because he has got control of the police, if we get Sean ku army, we might as well kiss goodbye to Zimbabwe. You know, it will be like North Korea. So I think it's a matter of saying I'm just hoping people will push back on 31st. We neutralize it. It's not going to be the right result for us, but at least the powerful person will be out, and we can deal with somebody else who will be trying to build something, and then we can challenge. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right. No, thank you, Mwendas, for that, and thank you for your loyalty. Shakupa ma loyal badges, Zako. But anyway, no, thanks, guys. So I think transparency actually remains an issue in our government. Like if you also check on that, there's no statement. It does not provide a reason for the removal or for the change. So what it does, it leaves room for speculation. And obviously, I think people have got the right to say things. So anyway, I think the next person coming up is Cyril Jill. Then we go to Nay J. After Nay J, we try Dr. Tapiwa again because he couldn't speak. Dr. Tapiwa, we go to Super Dead, and then Seke Kavi. So if we start with Cyril, please.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Maneraganaka. Yeah, for me, my reaction and my thoughts to what ED has done is that I'm actually happy. I'm actually happy because all along people vanga vachifunga kuti comrade Geza varikuita chinhu chavo chinhu chavakangoronga from Norway varoda kungomira vega. But now that ED has confirmed that Geza is working with top army brasses, because this is just a confirmation. But the move yaitwa naED is too little too late. Zvekuti kana naSanyatwa vakaronga chinhu chavo kudhara, there's nothing that is going to stop that thing from happening, because we are just 6 days away from 31 March. And for him to think that he can neutralize the impending crashing of ED Mafidi dynasty, then it's just not going to happen that way, because already Chinichitori motion, already people are tired. We cannot live another day with ED at this point, because all these 2030s who are singing for ED have nothing to show for it except some iPhones and Samsung phones that cost little less than $200 that they are giving bursaries just to sing praise for someone. Kuti aramba ari pachigaro achizvanyirira nyika. So move right kwena idi rakanakira isusu vari kumhanya ne-31 March movement, because camp yedu iri kukura and camp yedu iri kusimbiswa. In this regard, it's unfortunate kuti Sanyatwa anogona kugamuchira hake basa reministry raapiwa, but nzira yake imwe chete yazvisarudzira akagamuchira basa iroro, zvokuti dai anga ari padhuze nendai komudza kuti shamwari iwo chisa resignation letter kuti handichauya kubasa, basa ndichada, because maendero akaita mamwe maformer ministers is the same way that is going to go. Hapana musiyano, because they will bring you close so that they can destroy your life, and vanotokuuraya. Hapana zvakangoitwa ana SB moyo ndo zvavanongoitwa. Saka kana ari munhu akachenjera anongofanira kungogara angoramba basa racho kuti inini zvebasa handichada, mandidzinga basa ndakuenda kumba, because haungadhimotwe kubva pakuita janitor kunoitwa child minder uri kumba uku. Hazvisisi izvo, ngaatongosiya basa racho, hapasisina zviripo. So for the sake of our nation to go forward, it is right for the generals to come together and help the masses remove ED from power, because as it stands, ED akangoisa Shoni Mnangagwa nekushaya nyadzi kwake, it's most likely arigona kutozviita zvokuisa Shoni kuti munonditei, because he already has tested the waters and akatoona kuti maZimbabweans hapana, it's all talk and no action. So after aisa vanhu vekumasvingo vese mucabinet, mahomeboy ake ese, he can go ahead and put Shoni and hapana zvaanoitwa, and akangoita izvozvo zvatodhakwa. So I'm happy kuti Commande vadzingwa, and I'm happy because it has confirmed, like what Menda said, it has confirmed that Geza is on the right path with the people, for the people. I don't know if we are going to bring victory to the people on 31st March, but hopefully so. By any means necessary, victory must be delivered to the people. Thank you.
Right. No, thank you.
Mofutaita zimaziva kuti Nigeria neZimbabwe.
Ngambozikamo aiwa chiko na Mwendas.
Yeah, it finished 1-1 Mwendas. Yes, we know. Right. So yeah, interesting observations, and also that of the pattern that you have mentioned of what happened, to previously with the people that were in the same rank, and they went to the ministries and what happened afterwards. So very interesting. So Nejay, do you want to come through, please?
Titus, Uncle Jess, hope you guys are doing well. I think there are a few things that we need to be careful of here. So I think if you accept it as a demotion, accept it as such, but it doesn't mean, or it shouldn't suggest that the general was working with Geza. There could be other reasons why he's doing that. But we can certainly agree that it is a demotion. But the reasons behind that demotion is then open to interpretation and speculation. It might be just that he's flexing his powers, rearranging the army, because remember, if you have generals that are loyal to you, then to some degree you can have some sort of assurance and you can retain some control. But if you have generals that you might think are not loyal to you for whatever reason, then you might be thinking, I need to put someone in that camp who I can trust. So it might be just an issue of trust. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a confirmation that the general is working with Geza. Secondly, it might just be putting all the other generals into line. I remove this one, watch me remove him, and watch nothing happen. Then all of the other ones will fall into line. So it might be an attempt into
repositioning or reaffirming the command or authority of the army, just show you who is in charge here. But I think also it would be very naive of us to think that the same way you removed the former president is the same way that you will remove this one. So people might be planning, people might be doing all these things, but remember, he's also planning, he's also maneuvering, and he has learned his lessons on what happened to Mugabe. He knows exactly where Mugabe lost the plot or lost sight of the ball. So he knows all of those things, and he would have reinforced against that. So I don't think it's a confirmation. I just think he's trying to re-centralize the position of power. But on the other side, I'm quite happy. Like I'm really impressed, because I'm just thinking this might be one of the mistakes that you almost need him to make. So remember what started that whole, what then capitulated that coup, which was not a coup. It was by the firing of MNANGAGWA, or you could say the humiliation of MNANGAGWA. Of MNANGAGWA, right? So I think this one as well, depending on how you look at it, it might be a mistake, an error in calculation on his part. It might be. I'm not saying it is. It might be. Then the question is, how or what events will it trigger? What events will it set in motion? But for the most part, the more that are not happy, the better, because he makes enemies. We know one, if you accept him as genuine, then you can count one as Geza. Then, assuming that there were no talks for faith on this demotion, if it is a demotion to start off with, then you can count two. But the other thing as well might just be an agreement between gentlemen. I'll have to play this game. I'll appear to demote you, but in exchange for that public humiliation, here's a peg for you. I'm simply doing this because I need to be seen, to be in power. Remember, it's all about optics. So right now, everyone is saying, oh yeah, Mudara might be losing it. Maybe he's removing this guy because he's lost grip on power and he's trying to ascertain power. Maybe these two actually know what they're doing. So let's not be too quick to jump to conclusion and comfort ourselves. The honest truth is, we simply don't know what it means. We simply don't know the reasons for what we are perceiving to be a demotion. So I think let's wait and see how all this plans out. I don't know, Tatas, if you know about this Chinese king who just beheaded his was he a military secretary? He just beheaded his head, not because he had done anything wrong. No, he just felt like his soldiers were about to go into rebellion. Then he just beheaded one of them. He actually told him, I'm going to behead you, because if I don't behead you, then these guys won't fear me. So he just did that. So I think when it comes to politics, guys, anything is possible. But for my part, I just think until you know more, maybe let's be very, very reluctant to formulate viewpoints. Thank you.
All right. I like the fact that we Urgubata Kwese, but at the end of the day, you just ended up on the neutral part.
Yeah, we have to be balanced in our approach, and I think one of the things that we do as Zimbabweans, we undermine the intelligence of the people that are in power. Until we come to a point where we appreciate that these people are actually intelligent, there is something that they are doing right. We need to come to a point where we respect their art. Unless you come to respect your enemy, you will never be able to outmaneuver him. So that our inability to appreciate their genius, albeit evil, but our inability to appreciate how they have been able to attain power,
Right.
then we will never be able to outmaneuver them.
Very interesting, Neje. I'll let others respond to you by this genius.
Can I respond?
No, Mwendas, hold on. No, you come in afterwards. Hold on. Let me give others time to speak. But yeah, interesting because you said he is so much in control, and the other part you said is there a possibility that he's actually lost the balance and the plot. So there's two areas that we look at it. But let me try Dr. Tapiwa. You couldn't speak earlier on, Dr. Tapiwa.
Koseka Kavya, he was here earlier.
No, I've got my lineup that I'm doing. So Dr. Tapiwa, do you want to try and come back? You couldn't speak. Okay. Dr. Tapiwa, I think is not there. Let me try to go to Wellington. Sekekavi.
Thanks very much, Brother Titus. Thanks, Uncle Jets. Interesting. Now I think the game is getting interesting to even watch from the sidelines. There's basically, I think, interesting submissions from previous speakers. The only one really disagree from previous speakers, just briefly before my submission, is when Mwenda says, if we allow this, I think in this chess game, there's no we. Us, we are by and large, if not 99%, just
no. If I say we, if I've got one more person whom I know I agree with, it's a we. We are two of us.
Don't just open your mouth. Listen to what he's saying.
So basically, in terms of the we see the we when Geza comes out. There, yes, the we for me I see. But in terms of this maneuver here of moving of the general, that is now proper play now at play. There's no even sloganeering or toying. There's definitely chess at play. Yes, triggered by Geza. There's something. I was always intrigued. I wondered if there's anything that we can pinpoint to that triggered the Geza. I wonder what it is exactly. Not.
Sagekavi, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Right. If you are speaking, I think you might be best if you drop off and come back again. Because, we've lost you for a minute. All right. Super Dad, do you want to come through?
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. Ini maonero angu zangu ndekuti what we are witnessing right now is a tussle for power such as we have never witnessed before. Of course, tine ma-events anogona kunge akamboitika before, but it seems as if ZANU-PF itself, it sort of reached its expired. So my events, Kubamana 2017, we are going to witness my events in quick succession. And the next event is going to be closer than to the other one. It might as well be the end of ZANU-PF. Andina zvangu pandinogona kuti ndingaise a timeline yakuti by this time this thing inogona kunge yaita annihilate itself, but it looks like we are well on our way there.
Right. Super Dead vari kutaurira. Right, Super Dead. I don't know what's happening in the network. Super Dead, kana muri kutaura, we can't hear you again. Please, if you can drop, if you can try and drop, then come back. Uncle, so the next ones that are coming, so I've got Rio G, I've got Padare, Team Zimbabwe, and then James. So that's the next ones coming through.
Right. Okay. Saka, let's go with that lineup, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, Uncle Jed. Thank you very much, Titus. Good evening to everyone. Good morning to everyone, wherever you are. Right. I always say, with the developments in Zimbabwe, especially after the elections, what we are seeing is a pattern of events that are a direct result of a poor election, and democratic imposition of government, illegitimacy, everything all rolled into one. So whatever comes out of that kind of a scenario is going to be problematic. Whether the government in place right now remains is still problematic. Whether we have a new government out of the ZANU-PF factions is still going to be problematic, because what we have right now is we've got factions in ZANU-PF who are fighting for power, who are fighting for control of the national resources and power and national wealth and everything. I do not believe, for one, that whichever faction is fighting at the moment is doing it for the good of the nation. I think ZANU-PF as a party is a party of very, very selfish, very, very corrupt, greedy individuals. Anenge Makudo, Abata, Anishkaf, they just fight for a bigger share. They're not really fighting for the people. And even if you follow the press conferences that Geza was giving, there was a huge and significant element of it's our turn. Why not us? It always reminds me of what Nkosana Moyo said. The problem of leadership or lack of leadership in Zimbabwe is that those who are outside power, they want to come in power to eat. They want to be those in position of power so they can, they can benefit. It's never about the people. The only option that Zimbabweans have is to go on the street, because whichever side they go on the street for, because if people decide that, okay, we're going on the street because Geza has said so, we are just handing over power to Geza and whoever is behind him. If we stick with Mnangagwa, we are just basically giving Mnangagwa power and legitimacy to continue plundering the country. What people need to do is to demonstrate that the power is in the hands of the people, the powerful. And whoever emerges as the leader or as the leadership out of that demonstration, they know that they're in that position because the people put them in there. The situation that we have at the moment is we are just pawns in a big game of chase between two ZANU-PF factions. We are the sacrificial lamb in this, because what Geza will do is if these demonstrations are successful, he will just go to the other faction, Mnangagwa or whoever, and say, look, we've got the people and we are going to be the one that takes over. The same way that they did to Mugabe. They know that people are very unhappy, people are very angry, people want a new government. So they are riding on people's emotions, they're riding on people's anger. And they're doing that for selfish gains. They're not doing it because they want a better Zimbabwe. I was very disappointed when I heard Geza saying he also wants bodyguards, he also wants this power, he also wants this position. Pashiga Zimbabwe is not really about positions. Pashiga Zimbabwe, the country needs a sudden change of direction because wherever we are going at the moment, we are aboard a derailed train that is going nowhere very, very fast. So unless the Zimbabwean people say we're not taking orders from ZANU-PF, we're not taking orders from whoever claims to be the opposition, we're not taking orders from any faction. We are taking, we are going to the streets because Tatambura, we want the government to resign. We want the government to step down, and nobody from this ZANU-PF party should come and claim today to say, I am the one that's going to lead. Because this ZANU-PF party has been in power for 45 years. Who can emerge from ZANU-PF and say, my hands are clean, when you have been part of that system? It's very, very interesting to hear people like Walter Muzembe and Xavier Kasuku coming up and denouncing the arrest of Blessed, denouncing whatever actions ED has been doing. But these are the same people who were sitting in the cabinet that oversaw the arrest and the harassment of journalists since 2000, since the 90s. Even if you look at when Changirai won the elections in 2008, when General Zinawashe came, on TV in around 2000, 2002, and say we're not going to salute anybody that's got no war credentials. These guys were happy. These guys were supporting that. It's only because now they're outside. That's when they want to condemn it because they're not benefiting. I can tell you now that if Jonathan Moyo, Xavier Kasuku, and all the ZANU-PF who were kicked out, if they are readmitted into ZANU-PF today, you will not hear them condemning anything from ED. You will not hear that. The only reason why they are condemning what ED is doing is because they're not benefiting. And that's the same thing with Geza and crew. The reason why they want a change of government, the reason why they don't want ED is because they are no longer part of the people who are benefiting directly.
Right.
And which makes me highlight and in bold that Zimbabwean people, they should say, no ZANU-PF, no opposition, we are just going in the streets. Because if the country burns, if the country is destroyed, that's when you realize, that's when you see the real leaders emerging. Out of chaos, you will see order. As long as ZANU-PF is saying, we've got this faction, do not be part of those factions. Do not get excited about this Geza and crew. They are part of the same DNA. They've got the same DNA, these people. Whoever is going to emerge out of this will be just as bad, if not worse, as Mugabe, as AD as well, because they come from this same school of thought.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's go to the next. Let's go to the next speaker, please.
Dave, Jankos, long time.
Abana, Bazrize.
Good to see
Kwamuriko.
so far, so stood out.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, very interesting. I think what we're seeing, right, is an individual who was not supposed to choose a political formation and is just coming to ZANU PF ranks. That's all you just need to just appreciate. Hapana chimwe chenje. I think what people don't understand is what Nay said, your lack of appreciation of the battlefield or whatever, your competitor, whatever you are in the sphere and the language you use is very critical. You always miss the mark in everything. And Uncle Jed, I've always said this to many people. A lot of people don't find us at all. Every rank in the military, it can be equated to some form of leadership. From an corporal, a junior manager, a chief. So you can equate it. A general, every general in Zimbabwe or in the world is equivalent to a cabinet minister in that country. Okay? Every general in any military formation is equivalent to a minister in that country. They sit at the same level when it comes to they sit at the same level when it comes to decision making and running of the country. They actually do. So I find it because remember, to be a general in any country, it's an appointed position similar to a minister by the leader of that country. Okay, so every general, there are promotions that your officer in charge, your commanders, and people in your own places in the military can promote you to be. But when you get to these senior ranks, it's a chosen golden handshake by the commander in chief of that country. Whether you are in America, you can see what Donald Trump is doing. Whether in the United Kingdom, you can see what. So these are very political appointments. When you come to this senior leadership of the military, it is very political appointments. Get it right, and people need to learn and not make assumptions because you get it so wrong when you form your parties and you do not understand what these roles are about. So what this guy is coming to do, he's been retired to get to a position which is within the civilian ranks of possibly the similar rank of what he was doing wherever he was. He was the head of the army. He's going to be the head of something else within the establishment. So he's just shifted to the other side. You can make your own assumptions and come up with all your scenarios as you want and write all your stories as you want. But the simplest position of this is generals are appointed just like ministers. These are golden handshakes, chosen positions. It does not matter kuti uri kumazi uri kupi kana kudenga chaiko kuna namaikoro anozi anamaikoro ayo ingoro dzamwari dzaitove dziri chosen. Not everyone else could be chosen the way they are. That's what it is. So this guy has been retired from one position to the next position that now, but what it is, the story is, he's not just become a minister. He has become a senior rank within the establishment of ZANU PF. So you see, this is what people do not understand about ZANU PF. There are certain levels where people can go Masero, and then you've got this structure where it can feed into it, right? So when you are thinking you're going to have someone as your president in the next mission, president, you have to say to yourselves right now, and this is an open discussion, an open opinion. Any one of those leaders right now who are generals in the in the Zimbabwe army can become your president in Zimbabwe because they will go and sit at the highest level of power in ZANU PF. Get that right, okay? Get it right. You've got the current defense commander. He could be your president. In the next, when the ED goes, and the person that you think is going to be your president is not. So you are failing to understand how powerful and sophisticated ZANU PF is. Because its leadership is not just coming from the streets like everybody else in the highest formation. It comes from everywhere. And most of it comes from the structures of the defense forces that you are seeing currently, like what you've just seen. You've just witnessed a leader who was commanding your army in Zimbabwe become a member of ZANU-PF, become a minister in Zimbabwe. That is the uniqueness of ZANU-PF. So if you do not understand this system of ZANU-PF, you are going to fail in your ability to actually compete against it and hopefully think that you can beat it. You can't. If you're only seeing the Geza mission to a commander who has been promoted to a position of leadership to become maybe your next vice president or even your president, you're absolutely losing it. You're missing the hallmark of the battlefield. The art of war is right in your faces, Zimbabweans. ZANU-PF is evolving right in your faces, Zimbabweans. I've said this so many times, Uncle Jed, and I've got it right all the time. ZANU-PF has just shifted a commander in the army to become one of his senior ranks, and that person, again, if he wishes to contest in the leadership contestation when when the time comes, he can go for it because he's already seasoned. He's already there. He was already there. He lives there. Many thanks.
That's why ZANU-PF is unprofessional people in wrong position.
Unoda
tine vanhu vakawanda ndingi vatataura timumirai kana padare auya akazvinyenga munzeve panapa musiya zvinyenge munzeve and then we bring in others kuti izvonhingi vataurawo. Right, let's go to the next speaker. Till Zimbabwe, I think. What's the next speaker? Till Zimbabwe, are you there? Yes, hello? Please, go ahead.
Maswera sei mhuri yeZimbabwe. Chandira kungotaura handina zvakawanda zvekutaura nhasi ndechekuti as ordinary citizens, I think we should not be in any way involved nezvinhu zviri kuitika muZANU-PF. This is going to be a repeat of 2015 to 2017. Isusu, if we are genuine about change in Zimbabwe, I believe majority of the people here are opposition members or figures, or they don't have any political party. If we are truly genuine about change in Zimbabwe, we should focus on our house. At the present moment, we don't have a leader. Our leader, our once leader is now a pastor. I think umongoziya kutoti vakuita zvishoko raMwari. And then vataiti baba vedu vaWeshmwenxube vari kurasikawo vari kwavari kuBulawayo. So isusu, our role is to identify potential leaders edu in our opposition movement vanokwanisa kuzorwisana neZANU-PF in a democratic way and hopefully attain state power. We have to go back kwataive 99 kuma roots emusangano. Musangano ngaudzike ku99. ZveZANU-PF izvi chero musi wa31 izvo zviroto izvo hakuna zvinhu zvichaitika. It's just going to be a normal day. Vanhu vachangobhadhara rendi dzavo vanoroja life ichiendeka zvakadaro. Ndatenda zvangu.
Right, thank you very much for that quick, nice and short. James, have you spoken?
No, I haven't.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, just my quick contribution. I just want to say to remember Sanyatwe's trajectory. He was the commander-in-chief of the Zimbabwe, the presidential guard when the coup happened, and apparently his trajectory was always supposed to be Kutaende ZDF. But then that was put into question after the August 1 shootings, which then forced Mnangagwa, he was pinpointed as being the cause of those shootings, which then forced Mnangagwa to put him aside for a bit, to calm down. But he was always meant to come to ZDF. That's what the rumor mill says. So this then means my views are Taura Newanuguti. This is not a demotion. It just can't make sense. For me, this is a clear demotion. Minister of Sport says Rambotoron's case title, campaigning my elections, the IOC ministry Jungo Famba, and you tell me Munangari is ZDF chief, then he's made Minister of Sport, and it's not a demotion. I think that's a questionable view. I would just want to say, let's remember my words. Akataugwa na Junawa Shemna 2000, ni akataugwa na CHIWENGA mna 2017. Kuti ZDF or the Zimbabwe military is the one that guides leadership in Zimbabwe. So obviously that's not what we want to that democracy. But ndo kutaura kwao vanhu veZANU-PF. So basically it means position yangaina Sanyatwe. He was at the helm of the system, well, not above Sivanda, but just below the system that is supposed to guide who leads Zimbabwe. I look at it this way: ZANU-PF provides a face that has to be endorsed by ZDF to be president. That's how I look at it. It's what has happened with Mugabe. It's what has happened with MNANGAGWA. ZANU-PF provides the face, and then ZDF endorses, and then Toto Tongwa Sekudaro. So for such a guy, Kutab and our Minister of Sport, I think it's a clear demotion. I think it's also confirmation that something, whatever that Geza is doing, or whoever is backing Geza, has something to do with the military. We look at how he came out recently, Agapega military fatigue, how he was talking, what he was saying, and clearly name dropping to support CHIWENGA, to not CHIWENGA, Tonge, and we haven't heard CHIWENGA responding or downplaying what was being said by Geza. Another key issue, besides this demotion, Mazwa Tanga Geza Kuta noise, Mnangagwa did something that Zimbabwean leaders never do. He opened up himself to the media. Kuta Buddha Ajitaurot is not interested in 2030 noise. It's very difficult for journalists to get access. Mnangagwa, my questions are open, but he did that after noise Geza. So I think there's probably something happening there. Just to close off, we need to remind each other, ZDF ino decider kutongwa kwenyika. Saka kana munhu ari top weZDF achibviswa, hatitomboziva who's replacing him. That, for us, that should be a sign that something is wrong somewhere. Thank you.
Right. I want to thank you very much for that point, Mukoma Yamataura, because I think, I think so far some of us were being pedestrian about, this conversation here. Because if you want to see a development, I think all the traction I gotta say in terms of in the recent few days, or in the predicted few days to come, look at how people are responding to this. This is not just a question of having Sanyatwe being reassigned, being redeployed, and being moved from being the head of the army and being put in a position anenga supervisor anadingwa 400 meters wakabata relay button. There's something that is truly going on. There's something that has happened. There's something that is necessitated and facilitated such a move, a bold move like this one to happen. Because yes, I do understand when army they get in or retired and they are moved into civilian life. But let us not miss, this bigger picture about currently. And if you look at even the way that they are responding, because if there was nothing to this, you can't be telling me you can be all over social media and say this is a boss move. What boss move are you talking about? Who's being bossed here? What bossing is happening here? Or this is a chess, this is a chess move and stuff like that. What chess move are we talking about here? Why are you using those words to describe what has happened? Chaitika. What is it that is there that is making you guys want to say tsoro yatambika kana kuti let the games begins. What games are you talking about? Do you want him to go out there and run in a relay and say kuti mudhara chimanya relay and let the game begin? Something has been happening, something has happened, and what is the magnitude, the impact? Yes, I think vis-a-vis everything that is going on. I think let us broaden this conversation and let us not have the temptation to be pedestrian about this thing, because there's something that has happened, and it's key that we open up our minds. Let's have this conversation. Because nothing listen to these guys when they are speaking.
Uncle, can I jump in?
Jump in.
Sorry to cut you short. Down, hello? Ndangowaona someone gururu wangu anodrive one of the brigadiers achiti hanzi Brigadier Blessing Maraire is likely going to be the next ZNA commander.
News is Rubudon and Gimo grapevine.
Yeah, the Buddha from Kenya Upani.
Oh, I want to get this owner. Somebody we want to see, that later to these are Matanga, but you will want to come to our boy was necessary. Since that is the Matanga is now old, I think that but as then what I'm doing.
Yum around to Quanire, Chico.
Ayo kan panga pani chunga right. Nanju what that okay. Nanju Zafana ne Baga Viswani Matanga and the police in the commission. The police commissioner has been retired. The Ashika Magorage was Taiwa Kura and 62 years, but I had this one and 63 years. Doesn't that raise any eyebrow?
Uncle Gerard. You see, we look for confirmation bias.
Ayo, I'm going to confirmation bias up.
So we know what has been happening with Geza, right? What we don't know is who is backing him. We don't know that for a fact. Now we are trying to look for any evidence that might support the theories that we have in our head. Therein lies the problem. Here's the thing. What we know is a general has been reassigned. Now, that reassignment in office of at face value appears to be a demotion, right? He's been demoted. We agree on that.
No,
now,
we
here's
don't
the
agree
thing.
on that. It's not a demotion at all.
I'm speaking to a reasonable person, and I'm talking at face value.
Okay, sorry.
Right. No, don't interject. Don't interject. Go on.
Now, here's where the problem comes now. Hold on.
An important, phone call.
Very important conversation.
Conversation. Well, one thing, you want to limit us. You want to limit us in our critical analysis and how we are casting, the net. Allow us, to cast, the net wide, because when you think about, looking at an incident that has happened, critically, you want to cover all the bases. So you can't say, good, let us not, okay, we might have confirmation, bias, but what are what is it there that is mitigating the confirmation, bias? How are we mitigating it? And then move on.
Right.
Because if you are looking at everything, that is happening. Because whatever you want to say could happening in CHIWENGA are aligned to the army. Sakazare aligned to the army. For this one, it means CHIWENGA has been, neutralized. Saka, it's just things, that are falling, into place.
munhu ndaangoita contribution yake kwete kuda kuti
aiwa kani chimomira right go on ngeneje.
Right. I just have an emergency. I'll be back with you guys in a few minutes. I just have an emergency.
Okay. I hope everything is okay. I hope everything is okay. Right. Okay.
Ndompinda wakanyama sisi.
Aiwa kani mwenda zikani chimomira mwenda.
Alimabonimisana neje vakauya. Tudangotara 30 seconds.
Alright, 30 seconds. I want to hear from Gombwe.
Okay, I think we are missing a point, Kuti. This guy is appointment. Is he qualified for that job? Because we don't know this ZANU PF, that's why he's failed.
Qualified for what?
Padare.
We didn't interject him.
Please,
when he was
can you... you know what? We are almost 1,000 here. I don't want to relegate this space to a back and forth between folks, because we've got so many people that want to make contributions. This is just people expressing their thoughts. So I don't want to be zeroing in on individual thoughts and having people dominate this conversation. I don't want that. I want us to have a situation where we have as many people as possible, because this is something. You see, this is why I've opened this space for a wider audience, so that we get different folks coming in. Like Taura, like say. Saka, please, I'm going to be dropping this on I'm dropping you, and then I'm going to bring in new speakers. We have as many people to come in and make their contributions. Right. And then
Longo page sagas. And then okay. So what we are saying is they put incompetent people in positions to craft whatever they need to cool down some other people. That's why Zimbabwe's ZANU-PF have failed since 1980. They are not putting the right people in the right ministries. And right now there's a joke circulating that Zimbabwe scored the moment they had Musoja Happens was Minister of Sports. So you can imagine with Zimbabwe, they play around with us. They are just friends who are putting themselves in positions. I think we need new leaders. Thank you. I will just drop now. Thank you.
Can I just rebut this? Because if you look at the netball in Zimbabwe, 90% of the netball girls in Zimbabwe are coming from the army. Did you know that? And that's 90% of the girls that play netball who are winning competitions right now are military people. Did you know that? You don't know that. If you look at track and fast, we are just talking about in terms of like what he's saying, the competent. So he's the guy who's been heading the military, which has got every major sporting activity that happens in Zimbabwe in Msojariko. So I'm really trying to think when you say anyway, let's just talk from a point of appointment. A minister does not need the qualifications you are thinking. A minister is an appointment by the president to oversee. There's so many people who work around that minister. The fact of the matter is a leader. This guy was leading an army. He's got all the credentials to lead any organization, right to becoming even your vice president or even becoming your president of your country. So you got to understand that. So this question is a demotion. Listen, the same way a minister is appointed by the president is the same way a general is appointed by because they are all handpicked by the same commander-in-chief. If this man did not want to be the minister, listen, he could have said, I don't want to be the minister, I'm going to go to the opposition and support Chamisa. Nothing could have stopped him to do that.
Right, okay.
I don't want to go to become your minister in your government. I don't want that job.
Right.
Right.
Padara atoenda now to Chamisa, but thank you, Padare, for saying that. Guys, can I just ask you to repost this page, please? There's only 14 people that have reposted. Please, we need to hear different mindsets. We need to hear different opinions. So if you can repost the space as well.
About the more. Yes. July mo yakanza disco pa position ya Emerson MNANGAGWA. zvingaite traction izvozvo hazvingaite kuti izoti ndinge tingatovhura space kuti joraimo abviswa nengenai
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
vanhu vasangana nengede graph resa naJulaimo yava tinoziva kuti izvoi vanongotowa the line yaimasona MNANGAGWA nyangwe akabviswa saka you can't equate these two kuti asizo anoappointwa napresident and minister anoappointwa napresident and the president can remove but the times ngatitaure the times zvinenge dzatiri.
Absolutely. The timing.
Zvakafanana nekuti izvo okay munhu akuti izvo ningi tikada kuti izvo tiite controversial conversation zvakafanana nekuti izvo Owen Mudanui akatanga kuita yes akabviswa ningi pachiposition cheche because tiri kuziva what he stands for and that is what we are after. That is where the conversation is.
100%.
Don't relegate this to pub talk. No. What is this person being said to be representing? That which is being said to be representing is what is interest of us. I don't want to be some ministers. Okay. Case Coventry this one. Why is this a little case Coventry?
Good point.
Ah, nice. Panaim.
Yes. Fambre, I think I've added new people, Uncle. So let's continue for those that haven't spoken. So I think let me see. So we've got Beauty, Tombonzwa, a lady's voice. Before we try Sanyatwe again because what dropped. So Beauty, want to come through?
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, guys. Yeah. What a development. It's good news. Regai vachinatsorwisana ikoko. Yeah, zvakunakidza ko ZNA yacho ikaramba ikati hatidi kuti Sanyatwe aite minister, hatidi another demotion. Makambomupa demotion mukamukanda kuTanzania. Mukamudzosa izvezvi makumukanda kunonzi kusports. Given the history yakaitika, parents shiri akakandwa kuagriculture akazinga afa ninge akazoita sei. So ko amikaramba zvichaitwa sei? Because izvi zviri kubva kuna the commander in chief and his people. Ko army the rank and file ikati no hatidi naana commander wedu. Panoitwa sei? What is the law when it comes to that? Kana army karamba na commander wavo ikati we stand with our commander and we have given a track record yekuti makomanda edu muri kumabvisa kuarmy achienda kunoita civilian roles achisvika pakufa tisingagone kuvachengetedza. Remember kubva kwaSanyatwe apa panobva asina access to artillery, anobva asina safeguards dzemilitary. Saka zvinozoita sei kumberi uko vakaramba vapfanha vakati aiwa matijairira zvakwana hatichada komanda wedu ndikomanda wedu panoitwa sei? That's just a question wangu yandangosanganawo nayo mupfungwa dzangu kuti zvinozomira zvakaita
and the question iyo iri important because tikada kuverenga kuti maminista iye timu irori rakabva kuarmy vangani vavo ningi vataviga paheroes yega tinokwanisa kuverenga maoko edu kuti ningi naningi uyu aiswa futi kuposition uku ko akaitwa yese ari ikoko because apadhuze kauyu because anenge achidiwa kaningi mukabinet kauyu obva aiwa tine ningi taiti abva ningi kuchaina imbotestawo taiti
saka ndo pane nyaya ungomubvunzo ndeyekuti ko idi akaita samuseveni obva angoti hake shoni ndiye ana ukomanda uTheZNA. Munoita sei vana veZimbabwe? That is just those two questions ndo dzandinadzo hangu pamwe dzatingambodziya. Thank you.
All right. No, thanks, Beauty, for that question. I hope somebody can answer that as they come in. Sanyatwe, Wellington.
Hi, Brother Titus. I dropped from my previous submission. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, I'm very pleased. I came in back at the right time because I was trying to explore the question that Beauty has asked. Because previously, I don't know when I dropped, I was trying to make a point, Beauty, I thought it was a brilliant move when at Ed's inception, when he took some of the commanders and he sent them off on diplomatic missions. That is to answer beauty. If I was him, I would have demoted someone from China, and sent Sanyatwe to China. Why? If you are taking him out, wanting to remove him from the rank and file of the command structure of ZNA, you can't then just put him as a minister, because geographically he still retains. If you retire or you are retired from the army, you still have military clearance into the barracks. All barracks, they will still salute you the same. Soldiers will still react to you, the rank and file of everybody from your previous position. Perhaps the only thing that you won't have access to, like I was trying to say before, would have been briefings to the JOC, or briefings to the president, or briefings to those military intelligence. But even then, so at his rank, I still see that putting him in sports and culture, we all know how that ministry was operating. Kirsty did a wonderful job. She was very influential. She was running around the country and making big waves. She was doing a fantastic job. So now when he puts him in that ministry, we can see then it's completely different from the access of power that he has within the ZNA that he was holding just before the immediate effect. But does that mean that it takes him away from the equation of what is going on? I doubt so. But maybe I would have thought that he would have been sent to some diplomatic mission to Greenland to talk to Trump, knowing that he will never talk to Trump or the Greenlanders or whatever. You send him somewhere there and pay him to be as far away from the establishment as possible. But now that he's still taking over from Kirsty, he's still in Borrowdale, he's still within Salisbury. To me, it's interesting times ahead, actually, very interesting, and I like the submission from previous speakers. So obviously we, the citizens, are watching it at play, but it's interesting analysis to see what's going on, and I think kudos on your beauty for crystallizing the question. Does his removal have turns the needle towards what we've been seeing through Geza not being arrested, Geza wearing fatigues, the threat of 31, and whatever mechanism which CIO has access to, which should have landed, all these things should have landed on the president's desk anyway. He's privy to the underlying current, and to his privy, can we say that this is a strategic, solid move to take the general and immediately put him into a cabinet position, allow him access into the cabinet, expect him to be not riled from losing access to his previous positions with immediate effect, and will he, with immediate effect, be able to carry out his mandate within the Ministry of Vibes? Can he bring the vibe? I love the irony that Zimbabwe can bring. So now can Sanyatwe move from barracks and bring the vibes into the sports of Zimbabwe and still not meddle into the chess playing that is at play? Very interesting. Well done on you for bringing that up, Beauty. That's my submission from me looking it from the outside. So I think there's far more interesting things at play, so that we see what power does, and how to move those chess pieces. And maybe Ngwenya will come out at the top. So it would be good to do a poll to see under the current scenarios, is Ngwenya and CHIWENGA, who is it 60-40 or 20 or 10-5? Is he panicking? Remember when Grace took out, when she came out, I think, when she was asking, what are the tanks doing here? Suddenly you wake up tomorrow morning, is there a possibility that Ed will not know whether the tanks are rolling into into Africa Square or not, or he's in full control. Thank you, guys.
Right. Thank you, Wellington. Thank you for that. Right. Baba Shona.
Abati mofu ngi Baba Shona ni wasatu wapinda. Pangobunza mofu kuti delay yaka kuti vanhu vakaudzwa nzanzi musa 31 ndo pachiapo.
You know, why would you announce such a big thing and with so
So you would give, because a day is long in the game of politics.
Correct.
What about so many days? Could it be that maybe by announcing to say good card and whatever it is that was going on, we are now seeing kudizuma boss moves on a team with that. So these are the boss moves. What was the impact of this announcement, the period as well, and then what we are now witnessing, today? I'm thinking if people can engage that as well, maybe teams will.
That's very interesting, Uncle. That's a very interesting point, because we might be playing a delayed match and things might already have been set aside. I mean, these guys who Vakataura, they travel. They might already have some things in motion to know how these things can proceed. Because like you rightly said, even one day in politics is a very long time. So with Corona, like I've seen pictures on social of my military trucks just achingofamba hometown, like quite a few of them. Harimo, I've seen a few comments things like that. But it is a very interesting point that you raised. Why would they announce it with so many days to go, knowing somebody can put steps in place to either to cover that or else if you look on the other side where they're trying to say out what moves will then come in before the 31st. So very interesting point, right? So
and on that one, Titus, does Sanyatwe going to ministry with immediate effect? Does that remove him from being in the command chain of seeing any movement of tanks? Is it an effective move? But very interesting.
Absolutely. Right. Maybe he knows better. Bashona, how are you?
Ndofara mhofu kumakadi namazvizva mofara ndimu nacho choto ichi
takachiunganira tipeka pamwe ndimi mune zvemukati.
aiwa hai ndotongokomentawo sekukomentawo kuri kuita vamwe kuti chokutanga chandingangokomentei nhau yataugwa I think ndibuta kuti Major MNANGAGWA will be promoted straight to Commander Setene. I don't think it will happen that way, because there are so many seniors within the rank and files of the military, and for him to get there to the position of Lieutenant General to command a wing of Zimbabwe Defense Forces, I think he needs more years within the service of the military or in his military career. But I want to comment on the issue here. It could be it's a demotion or what. I think it's important to note that the service chiefs, all of them, they are political appointees. And being political appointee, it means the executive is the one that renews their contracts and appoint their contracts. And also, the other important thing that we need to understand, I can hear people saying, no, there are moves, 31, what. I intend to agree with my brother Sekavi, where he was saying that if it was something, I don't think General Sanyatwe would be, remain within the executive or the statecraft of the nation probably might be posted to be ambassador or maybe appointed as permanent secretary or anything. I appreciate that it's effective kuti vanhu vanenge vachitaurawo zvavanofunga maopinions avo and so forth. But at the end of the day, the reality it sits within the presidency and the state house. However, the other things that I see which is important that people should get to understand, and which in my view is a critical point, ndeyekuti President MNANGAGWA, when he promoted the lieutenant colonels to full colonels, the colonels to brigadier generals, we saw them being promoted last year, and some of them are the ones who were, given new tasks by the general, then the commander of the ZNA, Comrade Sanyatwe, to command the brigades across the country. And notably, there is one of the former president MNANGAGWA's bodyguards, Keno Makuyana, who is now the commander of commandos or one commando in Harare. So you then realize kuti people because we are talking, which is a good thing, but we don't have effect on what is happening, which is also a good thing. We as Zimbabweans, we comment, we see things, and we start to analyze and see. I'll end by saying, what the reason why President, this is my view, appointed the new Minister of Sports, Lieutenant General Sanyatwe, is being appointed to command something which is very, very important. And the Minister of Sports is something that has been lagging in our country. And I will take a leaf when General CHIWENGA, our VP, went to command the Ministry of Health during COVID time. We saw a huge change and a stability within the Ministry of Health. And now having another general going to command the Ministry of Sports, I have no doubt in my view. No, probably you were not following the event. There were so many strikes. There were so many strikes which were going on during that time. Remember very well.
But did that improve the overall service delivery?
No, yes, it did.
How did it do?
Let me finish. General CHIWENGA, when he went to command the Ministry of Health, there was stability in terms of the staff, retention. There was stability in terms of the operations within the ministry. There's a lot of things which general.
Do you know the nurse patient ratio in Zimbabwe today? And during the time that it was there, do you know the nurse patient ratio in Zimbabwe?
Right now, I don't know, Mkoma. I don't want to lie. I don't know what is the ratio at the moment. But one thing that I know for a fact is there's a huge number of trainings across the country of new nurses which are joining the service. So I would no doubt that even remember, one thing that we also need to appreciate is that we had an episode where a number of nurses left the country, and they left the country in huge number, and it affected.
And they're still living, the country. If it wasn't for this, directive that was put in there to say that for the nurses that are, I know it is supported by the World Health Organization to say that world developed countries should not be poaching nurses from underdeveloped countries. But at the end of the day, when it comes to a situation, in Zimbabwe, even though there's that, you're finding, right now we've got so many nurses that have left, Zimbabwe, who are doing, work here, who are doing, this domiciliary work. People are leaving, the country, and And how many times running have we failed to even meet the 15% Abuja declaration?
No, the Abuja agreement. I think we met. If you go and read the
No. We've never met.
Give me time to respond to you, Kamkom. So
Because you are saying, what do you think? Because you
no.
At the moment that you're telling me that you think, it means that you're not sure.
Okay, I'm telling you now.
Okay.
If you go and read the budget presentation which was made, you then realize that the Ministry of Health got more than 15%. That's the agreement. Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Go and read. Ministry of Health is one of the ministries that got a huge chunk of the total budget, and it came after the members of parliament complained about these things, and it was mainly on the issue of health equipment. It's there unanswered, and it's there on the public on the budget presentation. You can Google it. You'll see it. I think the Ministry of Health got, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 16 point something percent, and I'm saying to be corrected there, but it got a huge chunk from that. So my point, I will end by saying, right now, if we have more of people like General Sanyatwe within the cabinet, within the executive, we are going to see more disciplined, system where people would see things running, things efficiently delivered to the people of Zimbabwe. Because at the end of the day, what we want to achieve Vision 2030, and we can only achieve when we have got people who can instill discipline within the civil service. Because within the civil service right now, we've got people who are leaving jackets hanging on their chairs and leave the offices, and no one is doing the job. Now, if we have got a person with a caliber of General Sanyatwe commanding that ministry, I can assure you, even the National Sports Stadium that you're making noise about, even others, we are going to see a huge movement there. And I rest my case.
Sports good disciplinary, ministry sports.
Definitely, we need. If I tell you this,
what was lacking? What discipline was lacking?
Right, we have got people within the civil service who are going kumabasa,
Kirsty.
So, Honorable Kirsty, you would find a challenge with those kind of people. But when you have got Comrade Sanyatwe dealing with those individuals, I'm telling you, and mark my words, and I want you to take this as a record, you will see efficient within the Ministry of Sport.
Okay.
And we are going to see huge delivery there.
Right. I know, Bashon, I don't agree with you.
As we witnessed in Ministry of Health, workers were striking day in, day out. But when General CHIWENGA commanded that ministry, we saw a huge discipline within the structure of Ministry of Health.
Bashona, was there discipline
Thank you very much.
and efficiency?
Sorry?
Under his command, was there discipline and efficiency?
Yes, a huge one, with a good track record.
So how come we saw people wearing army fatigue on national TV? Or on
the law will take its course.
Ayo, anti kuna efficiency, kuna commander, everything.
No, Commander Sanyatwe was not commanding the country. He was commanding an organization which has got people, women and men who are trained to live and work within the organization. He was not commanding Baba Shona, who is wearing a military fatigue outside the organization.
Okay. No, but
so if you go and see the discipline within the army, it was as a result of well-trained people, well-disciplined military person from under the command of General.
My last question to you: do you think personally he approves of this? General Sanyatwe.
General Sanyatwe, he serves under the commander-in-chief. The commander-in-chief of Zimbabwe.
Personally, he might not, but he has to do because he's serving under the command of. Right?
He is a disciplined man who lives and who dream, who breathes a command. And if his commander is giving command to do ABCD, he will salute it and take the instruction.
Okay, no, Vashona, thank you so much. I'll let other people who come.
I appreciate more. Thank you so much. Let me go to the listener.
Okay, thank you so much. Right. Let me go to somebody who is not from your camp, Vashona. Right. not you characters. So can I give it to Steve K? Steve K, please come.
Hey, how you doing, my brother? Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
My brother, I'm really tired of waiting. You know what I did? It's coming all the way from Newcastle there. I came home, I cooked my salsa, and then I went to shower, still waiting for the mic. I'm actually eating my salsa now, but I'll speak. You see, education, I think, is becoming probably a problem now in Zimbabwe because I'm hearing lots of eloquent speakers here, but the things they are saying, I'm really disappointed. But hey, this is where we are. You see, trying to put a lot of quantum physics in these basic things, my brothers, is tough. You can't take a general and then ask him to go and play Pada and then deal with people like Holy Ten somewhere else there. So like you are now looking after Holy Ten and Pada and all these things. And Charamba 2 kilometers. I think it's not right. And from where we are right now, and the things we are seeing right now in Zimbabwe, it's tough for us to come here and someone tell us, oh, you have got to use your critical thinking, go deep within something that is not there. Some of us, haisi eti kutenda setongoona zvataona izvozvo ndo zvatinonyatsokuudza izvi ndo zviri kuitika zvimwe zvezvi zvamazozvedzamo dai mazotasa kuti Mnangagwa izi what you call it strategic zvambotaura nemukuma padare dai mazomboona kuti adaiswa isusu zvamakusudza zvatiziva zvatiri kuziva ndezvekuti Geza akabuda akati Mnangagwa is corrupt, he is backed by the soldiers, and now he's starting to make these kind of decisions. That's the only thing. Those are the facts we have. Those are the things we can see. So zvimwe zvezvakakuudzwa panapo kuti dai mazonyatsoita critical thinking, mazoenda deep within the stories of the stories, maona kuti Mnangagwa is strategic, zvatichaziva. And the other thing we know, Mnangagwa son is almost there kuma-commander nekuma-general ikoko tinoziva because he is always there. Totomuona kana Mnangagwa pane aitwa nemachina kati ngazvinzwa kuti hanzi ndiye translator because ndiye anogona chichina, but kumuona aripo kumashure kumabo acho achiita zvaari kuita ikoko, and then toudzwa panapa kunzi mimi dai mambomira zvamuda kunzwisisa zvamuda kuongorora izvi munyatsoona kuti chii nekuti mimi hamuziwe nokuti hamuzive kuti Mnangagwa is strategic yekuti sei mudhara akura uya and mudhara hatomboziva kuti muZimbabwe hamuna stadium, atozimboti maorizi akutambira paseri pemba pake paseri pestate house hatomboziva kuti hakuna iriko, but patouya toudzwa kuti hai strategic yekuti sei mudhara last year he did not even know kuti hapana train inobva kuHarare kusvika kuBulawayo. You see, but he's the president of Zimbabwe. Now he's making these really lousy decisions. And then but those ones, mimi, think deep. Apana deep. Mnangagwa was making lots of decisions, lots of poor decisions. And then in Kanewa general, you know, Mambona Nyembes Nablaza, Nyembes Vainazo, on general Najebora. And kana ndiwe wenda kana yo pane ma PhD pana. You always a PhD yako kupedza, mino makore manganoita PhD yako. Ozozwawo manje kuti chinonogara paposta apa uchiona huku kana ndiwe onzi enda unoona huku iwe wapedza magore osaita pita apana hakuna kudaro hakuna kuisa mafuza pana. There's a lot of things that are happening in ZANU-PF. Maybe nothing will happen on the 31st, but all we know is there's something really bad happening in ZANU-PF right now, and if people can utilize this time and if people can put themselves together, strategize and understand where they need to get to, let's take this opportunity and really start to put fire. That's all we can do. And that's what I think really we should be doing right now. Strategize, take this opportunity. Because this is a big opportunity. To be honest, from General, Mawetera is IT minister, Minister of Culture and Art. Just imagine. And I studied. Atopadhuze pekuita president naanapadara atopadhuze president nekuti Trump ari kuzvitoko, ende Trump nhasi mambona vanhu vari kuNew York vachishedzera paTrump Tower papa kuti America hates you, so can we do the same? Because Trump is doing something, Mnangagwa is doing something, therefore children of America are doing something. Can we do the same in Zimbabwe? So this is nonsense. Let's stop this comparing. You see, Mnangagwa is making mistakes. Mnangagwa is old. Mnangagwa should rest. You see, where's why not 2030? Let him rest, find him space. I explained to him, you are old. And unogara kufamu kwako, resta ikokoko, and then we can create social care or adults here tokuchengeta tokubvisa mapampers. England kune maklasi vanhu vanogona kubvisa madhodhi. We can send them kunonzi kufamu kwako kwako. That's where we are, and that's what we should do.
I've done that job very well. We got paid.
So yeah, so exactly. You see, some people actually want to come and do it from England. Going to be some data because data cool. You see, vanogona za makate. Pane mafisa ndoziwa pane vanogona za makate. No short 2 seconds rapinda and haumboita wait. So this is where we are. This is what we need to do in Zimbabwe. Vanhu vakura vese tonyasoita chi kuti ende futi because what we want to do. I know pana mbota general akazomboita hanzi Minister of Health kuParinyatwe. But the whole thing collapsed. You can't be a leader that as soon as you leave a post, the whole post will collapse. You see, 2020 is not far. You see, so if you go there, you do something as a leader, CEO, and then as soon as you leave the organization collapses. That means that you don't know what you are doing. So, please just go so that some other people can do. And also, what we are trying to do, we don't want you to die in Singapore. We want you to die in Zimbabwe. Just imagine a whole president who feel Singapore, who feel Dubai, who feel Malaysia. It's not nice. You see, you are our people, you are our president. We want you to die in Parinyatwa. That's where we are, and that's what we are trying to do here. And that's where we are aiming. That's why we are saying that we want people like Ney, like Padare, like many other people here, like Cactus there. You see, go organize yourselves, guys. Create a better, you see, a cabinet where people can actually do things so that Madarenda are furious somewhere else. That's where we want. And yeah, that's what so thank you so much, Uncle Cheze, with this one. But sure, I'm thank you.
All right. Thanks, my brother Steve K. Interesting. Padare na Cactus. I don't know what he has to say about that. Right, Cactus, do you want to come through, please?
Yes. Ango Titus, Rudy, Ango Jet. The Titanic is about to sail. We have a good captain in the cockpit. His name is President MNANGAGWA. Is putting his house in order, and he does that very well. So, in any house, mumba mukaita mhirizhonga, baba ndo vanofana kumira. Baba havatize zvinoitwa nachamisa zvozvo. Baba vanomira kugadzira zvidhori zvavo.
Maita mhirizhonga here kuArmy, Cactus?
No, kwete kuArmy. Kune vanhu vanotangana angogeza, vanouya zvavo vakarohwa nemanginde vachida kuinsaita nyika kuti idegenerate. We have an able president who comes and stabilizes the country and put the country back on track and make sure 31st March does not happen through his leadership. Ndo vanhu vanotonga nyika, ndo vanhu varipo. The president of Zimbabwe.
What is happening on 31st of March?
Pane mhesva mukono dzaida kufamba mastreet dzida kupwanya zvinhu kuda kuzviringidza nyika kuti isafambe. The president is mitigating against that. So 2013 is gonna be a day. It's gonna be an.
But that is a lie that you just made. Nobody said on the 31st of March they are going to be destroying, property. That is a lie. You are lying. You're peddling, lie, propaganda. That is a lie. You just lied, to almost 1,000 people here. No, you just lied to almost 1,000 people here to say that they are going to be destroying, property. That is a lie.
Ango Jet, president was threatened to be removed.
But
when you are threatening a president to remove him forcibly, there's no election. musi 31
But why should he be afraid when he wrote a letter telling Robert Mugabe that I'm coming in 2 weeks and you'll be gone?
Let's talk one.
Why he did that? So why can it not be done, this time around? He wrote to Robert Mugabe. He told Robert Mugabe that I'm coming to remove you. I'm coming to be, the president. So what's so special about him when somebody is telling him now, would I want to remove you?
Nyaya yenyu mombe yenyu makuisunga nekumuswe, muri kuibopa nekumuswe, haisungiki.
Saka imimi ndingipa makaisunga neko ndingi 2017.
Yakasungwa nepauro.
Saka ikwe this time around irusungwa ndingi nepauro. Saka what makes you think
kuisunga nekumuswe?
What makes you think this time around azizosungwa ndingi nepauro?
Haisungiki. Iwono kusunga munhu aka engineer 2017 ndiwanongwa ndomuguna ubva. Hazvibudi. Ivi mukati munhu akaingineer 2017. No. Inzwai angomana. Problem iripo ndeyekuti we like our own narratives. Zvekuti ezvinezvi tikatanga kutaura kuti noise yemuswa 13 iri kubudirira. Everyone will be quiet muchiklepa maoko because you don't want to face the reality. Ipapo ndo panoita kuti opposition or vanhu vanocriticize government yeZimbabwe varambe vari pa one place for the next 20-30 years. Because you don't accept the reality on the ground. ZANU-PF is very strong. Yakasimba party here. And the munhu wacho aripo panyanga right now. He has been running that thing like the back of his head. Arikutoita kunge zvamunoita in your own household. There is nothing that's gonna shake that guy. He knows how to do. He knows how to move his pieces. So izvi zvekunyeberana tichita zvedu zvekunyeberana tichinyengana munzeve because we want to have a good night's sleep. Hakuna wazvinosvika. Instead of you mobilizing vanhu venyu to say this is what we are going to do, ezvinezvi munouya muchitaura hatisi kuda chakati. But what are you doing about it? President ED, when he says this is what I'm doing, he does it. ZANU-PF does it. President ED vakanyora tsamba vari kuSouth Africa. In the next 2 weeks, I'm coming to lead you. Havana kuita zvageza zvokuti ndienderei musiti musi 31 tiise watiri kuda ayo. Vakati I'm coming there. So if you are serious,
because he said he's coming because he knew these are the people that have already done the building for him.
Munogadzira vanhu venyu vanokwanisa kukutorera.
Saka kwayegeza wacho zvarugadzira vanhu vake urikutorerei.
Geza arutotuma imimi kuti ndiitirei chakati.
Koiye MNANGAGWA aituma vanhu vani.
Haana kutuma. Makamugashira kuairport imimi mukamhanya masiti mese.
Ndikasogashira MNANGAGWA kuairport kuti ndakupengera.
Makamugashira paairport achikuruka paairport akati the voice of people is the voice of God. Mukafara imimi. Auya kuzotora chinhu.
Saka voice uri kutaura ikwezvo ra voice raSatan here because if it was the voice of God at that time, so now is it because so now is it now a voice of Lucifer? Is it now a voice of Lucifer?
Aiwa amukurida imimi.
Problem yenyu ndeyekuti problem yenyu mira problem yenyu anhu eZANU-PF ndeyekudai so. You are so comfortable now in your position. And you're now so comfortable in a replication of what used to happen under Mugabe, now at a bigger magnitude. You seem to want to compare the years. Mugabe was there for 37 years. Let ours, be there for so many years. And deep down, you actually know yourselves. But because you want to hammer, because you want to sustain what is there. This is why you come up with these arguments.
Yairipo angojedi ndeyekuti imimi munonyatsoziva kuti even when you have these conversations between you and me, we have these conversations. Imi mune maonere yenyu, and maonere yenyu antori right in your own view. Inini ndinotoona ZANU-PF with my own lenses. Dzandinotoona dzandotoziva kuti no, is he doing this and this and this and this. But inini manje, I can't be so subcontracted name to push your own narrative or to push what you want. I'll tell the experience inini and zvakanakira zvandinoona. So at the end of the day, when
so
you
why
have
is
a
it
person,
you find it easier
when you
for
have a
you
person
to
who is
no
decisive, like
no but
President
no
ED,
no 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 but
yes.
but why is it where you find it so easier to want to tell the opposition what to do and yet you don't want to be told in what to do?
No, because you are actually falling into the same trap each and every
No,
time.
no, because no,
Yes.
there's no because.
Yes, you are falling in the same trap each and every. Yes, I'm not muzira kupi mimi wa muri kuagirana na yeye. Where do you know that guy from? Makamuzia rini? Wabunotanga kuagirana na yeye.
At 2017, you know, he was there.
Yes, ari
kuhondo angariko. Akarwa hondo.
Anga ari kupati.
Saka kuda reasoning atiti reasoning takamuzira kupi angari ewo veteran.
Anga ari kupati kupi pairwa hondo.
Hazina basa kuti anga ari kupati.
Ndopacho pamunosarira mvura ipo pekuti hazina basa.
Kwanditi makamudzinga.
It becomes
kwanditi kozvozvo makamudzinga here. Saka achazwenywe.
Kana makuda.
Ngati makamudzinga ikozvo saka achiri wenyu here. Saka why are you bothered about what Geza is doing?
Aiwaze kana makuda nezvake nimi everything else munoireza. It becomes very insignificant. Don't patch up ZANU-PF ipapo. Because you don't want to understand and scrutinize things. Pane zvimwe zvinhu zvatonyanya zvachitaurwa naBlaza angachitaura mai manje apa. Kuti inini ndikatoona maperenzi enyu chaiwo nemafiza akakubhadharira kuchikoro ndotovashatirirwa kuti dai makatotenga kana imbwa chaiyo. Because at the end of the day, school fees yacho haisi kushanda. Pane zvachona zvamuri kuda kuchinja kuita muZimbabwe.
Handogona ngaritorwarawo zvake ataura izvozvo.
So at the end of the day, murukutoona nyaya iri kuitika panapa Angoje. Start your own in the opposition panapa totonzwa very beautiful minds, big minds here. But it becomes shallow pakuti ezvezvo makamirira after Geza musi wa31 pasina chaitika. Mamirira manje kuti munzwe kuti ZANU-PF kuri kuitika chii, motanga kumhanya naichocho muchisaidhira ichocho. Kusvika gore rapera.
Cactus, point yako ndeipi chidriver.
Aiwa, because you are selective, you don't want to hear that.
No, because
yaitika nhasi inei yanhingiya general vedu vaiswa zvavo kuministry. NdiPresident ED vari kuarenja mhuri yavo. That doesn't have anything to do with you kuti muipindire nyaya yachona munge muda kuinsaita. Vari kuarenja mhuri yavo. Kana vacharenja mhuri yavo, iwe unogona kutoona kuti munin'ina wako apa haasi kuita zvinhu zviri nana. Kana kuti munin'ina wangu azodai so. Bamunini, cheda mubhonorima ukoko. Ava pandakuda kuisa maigura ndopakuda kutomborima. Ndozviri kungoitwa naPresident ED chete. But imi munohakira nyaya dzenyu ezvinezvi Geza matoona kuti chatopera pendi chimudhara. Chakatobuda inu chiri kutozvimira
Army is for Zimbabwe, is not for Moria AD. So you can't say
Zimbabwe ndiani ndiPresident ED.
Yeah, but
andi nasi vachinja general. Nasi vachinja general havana kumbokufonera itaita
of course he doesn't need to phone me. He can't phone me.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying.
But what we are saying,
ZANU-PF yakambofanana na stepmother.
We are saying
unozongopedzera wangoti moms. Ndozvo anoita ZANU-PF. Yakafanana na
andosaka stepmother tichii ndosaka stepmother tichirwisana navo. Sekurwisana kwatiri kuita nengine ZANU-PF mastepmother here. Mastepmother ndotorwisana navo. Inharototora udajairwa nengina stepmother. Idi stepmother kasaka ngitibvira apa iwe. Imwana wataura wani kuti izvo ED is a stepmother. But stepmother manje ndo atori easy manje
kuratidza kuti hadiwi. Ende it's a point yauri kutotaura kuti hadiwi chero iwewe
stepmother hadiwe. Yava kushandiswa huroyi kuda kugara pamusha. Utsinye kuda kugara pamusha.
Asi kudiwa. Iwe wacho.
Akushandisa ikozo paine n'anga.
Makatenga matiketi emusi wa31 here. Pane akatengera.
Enda kupiko.
Pane akatenga tiketi rekuuya kuzodemonstrata musi wa31.
Zvati kutoera izvozvi demonstration yakatosimba iyoyi.
Tumirai mari yemvura. Tumirai mari yevanhu vemvura vakandirwe matiye gasi
muvapone kuziva Cactus ndekuti musi weSaturday this information yanga yabuda kudara.
Nai nai.
Saka
information
iyoyo kuti zosanyatwa yani ngari kubviswa here. Kana iwo mutungamiri wako angari under control, why is it?
ezvinonzi mutomboziva kutoti nyaya yamaitotaura iyoyo kutoti musi wa31 haina kutanga naGeza. Geza ndiye akatosvika pakutohakira dzenyu dzamamatanga. 31st yakatangwa nemi machinja. Geza ndobva atoona kutoti this is fertile ground, ndobva auya achihakira. Imimi nanga naGeza
watanga kunyepa uyiwamakazironga kupatenyi ndezvekwenyu izvozvo, ndezvekwenyu. Don't say
He has exhausted his will to live.
Right.
31st takagaratirwa zvedu.
Get away.
Commande Abazezu, I haven't heard you speaking for a minute.
Elder na uncle, how are you guys and everyone on space? Smare wangu smartazi huko. Mondisetsa. I'm laughing like a mad person that zingwa mumba ndabudira panze ndichiseka na cactus na bashona. These guys they know the truth, but the way they want to put it is to make us believe that things are in order in ZANU-PF, while cactus says it found out that there is disorder. So far in Sanyatwe is to bring order. In a nutshell, he is telling us that there is disorder in ZANU-PF, which everyone knows here. If the army, according to Babashona, was organized and disciplined, why did the majority of the army, particularly the barracks where MNANGAGWA comes from, next to his farm, voted against him? I haven't seen an army voting against the commander-in-chief. But that barrack itself, the results are there. The most people who voted in that polling station are the army people, and they voted against MNANGAGWA. Discipline yacho ne allegiance papi papo. I don't see it.
He's unvotable. That is the
thing. Yes, ndizozo. Then moya panapa muchitiudza kuti he will bring efficiency, what. I haven't seen efficiency in the army. Sanyatwe presided over an army that is corrupt, that robs people, robs banks, robs motorists, name them. What discipline are you talking about? Actually, I'm happy for his removal. Kuti ZANU-PF is destroying itself. We know that the military supports ZANU-PF. Hopefully, the person who will come will be weaker than Sanyatwe himself, the 49 degrees. And I've forgotten how many degrees he said they shot those protesters in 2018. But the gist of the matter is that he was removed to weaken CHIWENGA, nothing else. There is no reorganization for the improvement of the efficiency there. I don't see it. It's only political. ZANU-PF, where there is disorder, which these guys try to bring in here as order. That's disorder at its best there. Even Mugabe himself was a dictator. He would do anything without consulting anybody. But he never retired a serving military guy to come and serve in government. I don't remember any. Muchuru himself, a decorated war veteran, retired and contested as a member of parliament. He wasn't retired to come and become a minister of defense or what have you. We've seen this in MNANGAGWA only, not during Mugabe's era. So, Mazanu, don't come here with your propaganda thinking that you are talking to Vana Aravenyu Ava Noziva Ramai Chete. We know what is happening. ZANU-PF is in 6 and 7s.
No matter how hard you try to make us believe your nonsense, we won't. For now, I just wanted to tell them to debate, knowing that they are adults here.
Right.
Thank you.
No,
but mhofu dai kwanga kurunzizo Sanyatwe uyu ari vanhu kunoisa discipline kumasports ende dai kurunzizo Kesti Coventry haana kubva aizoenda rini ikoko.
Exactly. When was the reshuffle going to take place?
Aizoenda rini kunoita discipline iri kunzi iri kudiwa kuvakomana vemasports.
Uncle, Sports, we know we haven't got any facility that, our national team can't even play in our country, right? Tukuziva kuti kune infrastructure isiri kufamba kuma-sports. We know kuti everything is dilapidated. We know kuti kune corruption kuri kubiwa and saka discipline vachanoisa discipline pa-infrastructure. Hey, what sort of discipline? Zvinoda discipline here kana zvinoda competitiveness. Zvinoda vanhu, people that know how to do their job. It doesn't even make sense. But I'm actually concerned by excitement yangaina Cactus talking about his leader. You sound so excited for an adult talking about that guy. I'm really concerned about that. Cactus, whatever. Cactus, you can't get too excited for your age, somebody.
Ndechekuti what I believe vanhu vanoningira vanopractice what they say. Ukamuona kuti unoda handipi chete
ndangoti ndikuudze muwangu kuti aiwa
the current president the current president aripo anotoda dzinodhonza komana panotofana kusunga mombe dzodhonza.
He's the outgoing president.
It's good but if you want to do toe to toe naye motofana kutonatsosunga dzodhonza. Idzi dzamosunga hadzifambezi.
All I can tell you is sometimes you can celebrate something as a big move, which can be your downfall.
No,
don't be too fast to celebrate and get excited.
This guy has been so consistent kubva 1980.
Okay, anyway.
Mugabe vachiripo. He is the reason why RG stayed in power.
No, he's not consistent.
Consistency in a Cholocho declaration.
You can't even pull out the Cholocho declaration, but yeah, he did. So, consistency.
So is that consistency?
If you are not him.
Is that consistency? Teaching a dictionary meaning?
Is a changer. Because if you will focus in nature, toe to toe, I'm party. Toe to toe, I'm not changing.
Right. Amana mira amana even in certain animal disciples agamana indaga ninge.
Hi.
And mere ni ngirongwa.
But under a consistent
Satan is consistent. Satan has been consistent for for eternity. Satan has been consistent ever since Zimbabwe we are in a global village. And
we don't need to be in Zimbabwe to oppose that.
Hapana, Cactus. Hapana, tienda. Bye bye. Kuona kana nyama nemweya zvikiri pamwe chete.
Ngachifamba na hata consistent president vaiva vhudzi chena 15 years ago saka consistency yacho ndeipi baba. Anyway, ngatifambe zvakatiboudza my brother.
Aunozvidanga mjaha.
Consistent zero hapana. Anyway, Smarters, how are you? Thank you, man. Smarters Duripo.
Yeah, young with a delay, Mira kick in.
It's Commande, it's quarter.
Bo.
Good to see everyone. Yeah, good to see everyone on this space. Right. Indawo yangivotera nyaya boxing. Hopefully ndichakwanisa connecta back to Ango Gerard's topic. Ndikuchuza boxing nhasi because ndoine nyaya kunzwisisa nevanhu ende kwandiri kunoko havanyanya kunzwisisa boxing. Saka ndisina kuti vanyatsoziva kuti kutaura zvepolitics. Otherwise ndopinda beef. Kumabasa kwedu. Ango, ku-UK kwenyu mutambi wetsiva wandanyanya kufarira ainzi Anthony Joshua. And last fight yake akaita, I think akarwa nekamupana. Kanonzi Dubois. And the fight iyoyo naDubois takailuza a day before the fight. Nekuti ndainyatsoziva Anthony Joshua. Kuti patinoenda kuface off kuya tinonyatsokuona kuti Anthony Joshua ari kuwina fight kana kuti haasi kuwina fight. Saka zvakazoita kuti ndifarire kuda kunzwisisa kuti chii chinomboitika kuface off, sei ichiadvertiswa. What is the hype? Chii takambonyanya kukoshera face off. Ende ndaizibvunza izvi semunhu anopesuwa strategic thinking and strategic leadership. Just wanted to understand. Ndoba ndakazoona kuti face off inonyanya kuitwa for several reasons, but maybe I'm just going to touch on 3 reasons. The first one, check on your psychological preparedness as a fighter. Are you ready? And that way building your confidence. Right? So when you go now for a face-off, munoenda pa the stay down, where in most cases you see that fighters will not blink. Right? Because blinking is a sign yekushowa kuti psychologically you are not ready or you are scared. And this happens usually per face-off. And the other thing that happens per face-off, there is an issue of intimidation. You want to intimidate your opponent. Kana one six-pack, ndobodo yasounza six-pack. Kana wakakata weight, ndobodo yasoshowa kuti wakakata. You see this guy from Ukraine, ndopanenge achiwa dancing moves akachijamba up and down. That's showing kuti izvona he is ready for the fight. So now as I analyze our political situation in Zimbabwe, in as much as I was not supporting Geza in terms of his 31st protests, I did not support him because he wanted to replace MNANGAGWA na CHIWENGA. To me, they are ZANU-PF and these are ZANU-PF internal fights. But now, Ango, based on events that took place today in Harare, it looks like Geza is winning. Just from a strategic point of view. So right now, it's Geza 1, MNANGAGWA 0. And why am I saying this? Because the protests, they were advertised for March 31st. And this is the first off week. And it looks like during the first off week, we have a president who is the commander of the defense forces, are forced to blink first. Right? So Geza has been, MNANGAGWA has been forced by Geza to blink first. Because if there's one thing that MNANGAGWA would cry and yearn for, is a military that's united, not a military divided or a military destabilized. And this is happening during the stay off. Fight This is happening during the stay off. It's Joshua versus Dubois, right? At Wembley. I don't know, it's not Wembley, right? So we are in a period where ED was supposed to reassure his supporters. Military ndakaibata kuti G. Right? This is what you are supposed to do. But now when you look at his actions, reveal a panic. This is how I'm reading it. So it's panic. He doesn't know where Geza's power is coming from. So to me, it's like someone who is shooting in the dark. He said, maybe You know, there's grapevine that it could be maybe Sanyatwe, maybe it's Sanyatwe Arguita says so. Okay, Sanyatwe, I'm going to reassign you. But okay, I'm afraid of you, Sanyatwe. To the point, Yakuti, I cannot just send you packing. I cannot just fire you because you are this powerful. A president who is very powerful, Ango, right? Kana maendesa mwana ku time out, amumpe tablet, yekuenda naye ku time out. Kana iPad. Now you're on time out, then you give them an iPad, right? Kana mwana atori pa time out, ari pa time out. Unachifarira PS5, no PS5. But we have a president who is in panic mode. So, okay, Sanyatwe, now I'm going to reassign you from the military. Now you are the minister of sports. And this is Sanyatwe again in 2023. And I think it's what was, or 2019, I think it was after 2020. That's the same Sanyatwe Akaito ambassador. Then 2023, he came back, you know, promoted and all that. Just 2 years below just under 2 years, he has been redeployed. Why? Because there's a pending protest. Maybe a protest yanga silutomboida zvayo. Tinoishandisa futi kuboxing yo kana tamuring manje ango, right? Kana tamuring tinoita mafeins kusikiza baba. Sandika kusikiza ne uppercut. Then odoja, right? Ndinondoti uri weak. Those aina kuya. Painozouya unofungidzira kuti aiwa that left hook is not coming. Saka Mnangagwa angosikizwa. Nobody to Sanyatwe and remove Sanyatwe, but for a whole president to think could power a military no reside Mna Sanyatwe only. I don't think that no Sanyatwe. I know people who come and say, you know, in 2019 there were 8 generals who were retired, there were 8 generals who were killed and all that. Right? That can be an argument. But what we are seeing here, I'm seeing a president who is clueless, a president who is in panic mode, who is revealing panic mode. You don't want that for your commander in chief, right? Vakamboenda ku battlefield amudi kuona commander in chief when you achiratidza kuti ari mupanic. Muda kuona commander in chief aroshuwa kuti no, Sanyata ndiri kunzwa maplans ake, but I'm ready. Because when I'm going to the art of war, you know, people are very quick to quote the art of war. You know, the art of war. This is what we are seeing: a commander who is in panic mode, and you are quick to reference, you know, the art of war, right? When the art of war will tell you that you want to appear to an enemy as if you are very close to them while we are far, and when you are far, you want to appear to them as if you are. When you are very far, now there is Mnangagwa. What art of war are you talking about? There is no art of war, right? So he's clueless. We know his reliance on force and arbitrary. The assignments, we have seen this in the past, right? But there's no way you can reassign the whole military. Because if Geza's power is coming from military, if it's coming from CHIWENGA, you would need to reassign the whole military in Zimbabwe. No, because you know what, this is strategic thinking, this is what, you know what. But I'm seeing Geza winning because of the psychological preparedness he has, Geza. I was faulting him to say, hey man, why would you give notice, 3 months notice? He was waiting for things like this. So, okay, the Congress are notice yet. Then Mnangagwa is going to do something very desperate. So now the war is never against Geza. It's going to be against Sanyatwe, Geza, and everyone who followed, everyone who was working under Sanyatwe, right? Because the message that has been sent to military now by Mnangagwa is no one is safe, including their commander, their highest guy. Right? No one is safe. So it's either you choose to join the Geza or not. Otherwise, you reassign you And we know that once he has taken away the protection in military and all that, the next thing he will try to kill you. The same way he did to parents, Shiri, the same way he did to the Moyo guy. First is a reassignment. Our senior team, military, no protect. After that, then that's it. But the last point that I just wanted to make, Ango, this is how the military works in Zimbabwe. This is how the military works, right? For you to join military today, right, you need to have a reference. I know pane 10 kilometers amunozonomhanya inini. But panofanirwa kunge pane munhu anokuita sei anokunyorera a reference letter to say, oh, okay, this guy, I know his history, akamira say, then you can go through the security clearance and all that, especially kana uri kudeveloper for a senior position, right? And most of the guys who are from high ranks today, it's either they were recruited by CHIWENGA, inducted by CHIWENGA, developed by CHIWENGA, recruited by Sanyatwe. Sanyatwe Panga, presidential guard, the same presidential guard that killed people in 2018, right? Recruited by Sanyatwe, recruited by lieutenants CHIWENGA, my lieutenants Sanyatwe, and all that. So it will take MNANGAGWA reassigning everyone. Could asvike papoint pekuti izvona now he's safe. So that's my point. 1-0 together. I don't know why captures. So, some characters sound reasonable, right? But that's so disappointing. The excitement. The way it was like, I'm like, man, this is just an assignment. Assignment.
Ibaba varutozanzi ndavapedzera.
Oh my God. I was very disappointed. Usually I would interrupt and interject, but that I'm not going to waste my energy. I'm not going to waste my excitement. Maria anatanga kumaona nasera. Akarupa president varikushawa kuti vataria sana mbozo varikutya. Varikutya.
hanzi varigona kuronga tsoro dzavo.
Kuronga tsoro dzake dzemunhu ari kutya.
Yakatenda kumba kwamuniswa kuti all right.
Right. Bye. Thank you very much in this matters. Right. I'm next in the end.
And I'm on Toto.
Right. Ngoma Amon, please come through.
Maswera sei mhuri yeZimbabwe, varume, vakadzi, vakomana nevasikana. I hope you are all well. My underlying statement is a coup was imminent. It can still be imminent. However, there are efforts being done from my own analysis as a security consultant who is not attached to any military or security sector in Zimbabwe. I'm an independent security consultant. A coup was imminent. It is still imminent. And efforts are being done at the moment, as I see it, from the reassignment of Sanyatwe, that this is an effort to coup proof, yet not coup or coup d'etat proof, on the basis that should you not have listened some time back to Geza being sought after, or obviously Geza having, according to me, also as a lawyer by training, uttered certain statements and words that are deemed treasonous. But Geza may be in Zimbabwe. If he's not in Zimbabwe, he was whisked out from Zimbabwe, and by who? And without detection of our security personnel, that is to say military intelligence and also CIO, border immigration officials. That is if he left Zimbabwe. If he's still in Zimbabwe, where is he? And who is hiding him, or who is dining or protecting him? That is a key issue that everyone else may look at in relation to this reassignment of Sanyatwe. Now, as a military commander, it is rumored, or it is stated, or it is known, actually, that Geza has got some military backing. And who is backing him? The backing also points out to the commander of the defense forces, who is General Sanyatwe. And reassigning Sanyatwe to Ministry of Sports, it is an issue where he just wants to be kept closer. You cannot then say, we have discharged you and go away. Sanyatwe is not living in the era of General Mujuru, where he retired and he went away farming, doing his gold, doing his diamond mining and all that. But in this current era, the issue now is if Sanyatwe is retired and he goes away, and at the same time, there's a Geza issue and a threat on 31M. Who was Geza working with and who is he working with? And even who is going to be in the command of the National Army, which is deemed or was deemed and is still deemed to be going in favor of the citizenry and not going to take any action should it be deployed to quell any demonstrations, whether violent or non-violent. The same Sanyatwe would have wanted to redeem himself to say, okay, fine, gentlemen, ladies, CHIWENGA, Geza, and our comrades, we are together. I'm not going to deploy. Let's deal with the military to protect the civilians. This is it's a strategy to coup-proof. But as someone said, it is now, to whom it may concern, scatter bombing approach, where you don't know where the threat is coming from. You don't know where your insecurity is coming from. You then say, okay, maybe the military is, let me dislodge the commander. Like Smarter said and others. You can dislodge the commander, but for people who come here to profess or to confess that they know military operations, commanders or generals, they are in offices. The foot soldiers or the operatives in any military are, one, your captains, your majors, your lieutenant colonels, and your colonels, my full colonels. My brigadier general, from general onwards, they are not even closer to execution. They are not in operations. So it is difficult now to then pinpoint who Sanyatwe could have been colluding with amongst the lieutenant colonels, amongst the captains, amongst the majors, and amongst the colonels. Who are the commanders basically in the field? Makeno ndo ano commander in the field. Kana kurungu cha Makeno ndo ano commander. And going down and spiral back to my captains. So it is a panic mode. I agree. It's a panic mode, and no one in that position as a president of the republic, and having come to that top from a coup, not a coup, and did not insulate yourself against a possible coup against you. I mean, you'll be insane not to do that. If you are not insane, yes, I admit, and I also concede, the president at 83 or 84, surely where does he want to go to? I may be a sympathizer of ZANU-PF. Yes, I'm a supporter of ZANU-PF. But I'm telling you now that one can label me G40, can label me and this and that. I was for the coup in 2017. I participated in drafting certain documents, ensuring that there is no repercussions in relation to that particular coup and not a coup. But not this time around. I'm actually saying, look, when we look at a term of office, it's a term of office. A spade is not a shovel. Innocence is innocence. Guilty is guilty. We cannot mix the two. Let's deal with a Zimbabwe that you and me and others want. And this whole exercise we are discussing about Sanyatwe and all that, my conclusion is that it is a move that anybody can do, inevitably so, to insulate yourself against a possible coup, not a coup, and it is coup-proofing to reassign Sanyatwe because of his influence. Thank you.
I'm Commande Amon. Can I ask you, this question here? We know Sanyatwe is coming in. Are you still here? Oh yeah, you're still here.
No,
Right.
Right.
You know Sanyatwe is coming in, and this is our minister, but he's coming in as a non-constitutional MP, right? Non-constitutional member of parliament.
Non-constituent member of parliament.
Yes.
Yes.
What comes?
Wasn't.
Yes.
She was also a non-constituent member of parliament.
Yes.
From the preserve of the president.
Yes. So what comes first? Being appointed the MP as a non-constituent member of parliament first, and then also appoint minister. What comes first?
Without exposing myself for lack of knowledge, I think those things can be done concurrently. Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
Uncle Jed, since Mauya topic, your panem funzo well, there's a circulation. Yekutanzi disregard Sambayo Dr. Rushwaya on the basis of its non-legality, because apparently a certain commander ahango bepachigaro agenda civilian role, there has to be a resignation uko. Then afterwards, before he can even be a minister. Saka and disregard the contents of that letter because it is illegal. Abeno, it's just something that's circulating as well.
Yeah, those are administrative boobs, if there is a boob in that, but those are boobs that cannot invalidate any assignment moving forward. Yes, those are just the administrative issues that can be rectified. It does not nullify such an appointment, because remember, the appointment is it's a prerogative of the president and discretionary. So you in the exercise of his discretion, unless one goes to court to challenge the exercise of the discretion on account of irrationality or otherwise abuse of discretionary powers in terms of the constitution. So to me,
but the question, Brother Amon Wallace there, right, is the appointment came at 8:30, at 20:30, right? So are you telling us that the president could not wait, right? It had to be made at 20:30 when everyone had gone to bed, when General Sanyatwe was naked in his bed with no protection whatsoever?
No, Smarters, what I can say is that in administrative processes, a decision can be made and a communication can be issued out at a later stage. But the decision is
but here can he appoint the person who's not can he appoint the person who's not an MP to be a minister? What comes first? Swearing in parliament.
Tikanzwisisana kuti president.
I know. You've spoken about his discretion, etc. and etc. Kuti, right now this man is not taken an oath in parliament. So can he be as it stands right now? Can he be regarded as a minister of sports? As it stands right now?
No, not yet.
As now to an oath in parliament.
Yeah, not obviously not yet, as my sister is saying. As we all agree, I mean, these are administrative processes that can work out. This is a statement that has been issued, and a statement that has been issued, it then follows other processes.
But that statement is retired immediately.
Yes.
It is retired.
If you may listen to me, it is a press statement that has been released.
No,
but the process for giving effect to Rushwaya's a letter can be done at a later stage, but the announcement is made. It does not necessarily mean tomorrow Sanyatwe is coming up to say Baba Fields ngaitwe so. There are processes that will then follow following that particular statement. It is just administrative.
Right,
let's not look into anything about
no. It's not.
I want to get isusu amwe tisinganzwisise kateketa but ngetanzwisisa ndisaka tikubvunza
ango mukutonzwisisa ine. It's not just administrative. Oh, nando place order yangu para. Those
azotenga McDonald's. Urutengezi matazi. Well, when I know this without, but you know, I mean, I don't know, guys, because what we know is, kuti akuna a person who is appointed a minister, right, who is not a member of parliament. He has to occupy the non-constituent position, a member of parliament, and then they get chosen to be my minister. So now there's an indication in that position is his, right? He has been retired immediately, and it's being said that he's no longer the army commander. So it means there's a vacancy for army commander. Hakuna army commander, pamwe acting wage, angari junior wage, deputy wage, ndiye pamwe aruku ita say. But as this stands, right now, he is not a member of parliament. But as an elected MP or a non-constituent member of parliament, he is not, that. Because he has not been sworn in.
Ango.
Yeah.
That's why we are saying to Amon, this cannot be just an administrative. Because one, you are speaking to a position that is very key and sensitive, right? You don't dismiss someone at 23rd. I would like to believe that there has to be a memo going out to each and every barrack to say, not everyone was going to see that letter from the president. So now the question is, why was the president in a hurry? He could not wait for 8 a.m. tomorrow, right?
Yes.
To go through the processes, to make sure that there's a circular in army, say, okay, Sanyatwe is in the office, to allow him, right, to pack his stuff, his civilian clothes that were still in the office, right? They could not allow him that. So you cannot just say, you know what, it's administrative, this is going to happen. We are talking about a whole commander here. Even Ango Pamakambo Mabasa, where you quite dismiss or a CEO, there is a level of respect that you give the CEO to say, okay, so give you time to pack if you want to pack, if you have equipment that you want to carry, if you have some documents, you know what? Even Munato Bacha check, so the escort as a walk Buddha nene.
Both Mugata reassigned. Vanenge vari already in my MPs saka apana this issue yokudila naye.
Ango Jed. The problem that we are having is that none of us, including myself, know the background of this reassignment, know the background of being dislodged from that position. Talks could have been underway, processes could have happened, and this is a mere announcement.
Right.
Surely we are splitting hairs. According to me, we're just splitting hairs over nothing. Let's look at why is the decision made. Is it a panic mode? Is it a cool-proofing? And if you want to look at
this conversation was this a panic mode thing?
Hello.
Also, Mkoma Amon Musakangani would handover, take over. Ani kunofa kuitwa handover take over saka kungangofumwa zvingonzi munhu atoenda atominister handover take over then momba mati
I'm not saying this shouldn't have happened, but we just need to understand, because the problem, the tragedy atinayo muZimbabwe ndeye kuti we have got zvinhu zvinoitika mukati menyika yeZimbabwe is zvisiri procedural. Zozo pechwa pamberi apo zozoitwa kuti izo ninge zvibude bho. Saka it was just a question yekubvunza Which is we know good ministers.
I entirely agree with you
Yes,
on the
good
basis that
ministers they are
the
chosen from a
the
pool of
happening
MPs, and then there's a discretion. You have five, I think it's 5 or 7, Manani constituent members of parliament,
no, it's fine.
of which
It's fine.
Kirsty Coventry was not elected as an MP, but she benefited with the appointment a non-constitutional member of parliament, the same way Mtuli Nuve, benefited. So my question was to try and understand, can the position of one being a minister can be, can it be said with Israel, this person is a minister, I do appoint, I do accept, and yet, there's nothing in parliament that speaks to this individual as a member of parliament, either as elected or as a non-constituent, member of parliament. So,
Look at the exigencies
I would understand.
Look at the exigencies of the matter and the appointment and the things happening, and things can actually happen in 12 hours, can happen in 6 hours, or whatever it is. But I really understand. I mean, I'm not government, I'm not MNANGAGWA or the president, but I'm trying to put a perspective here in relation to what can be happening and what happened and what can possibly happen. Not really saying this as authority, because I'm not the appointing authority.
No, yes, I get that. Yes,
the five ministers are the prerogative of the president to appoint them, Wasirima members of parliament, and that does not one require either parliamentary approval or any notification or otherwise, because apakaappointwa Kirsty Coventry akangwaappointwa, no one was consulted and parliament was not involved and we were not involved. It is the prerogative of the president. So the question is, has he exercised his prerogative in relation to the law and in terms of the law? And if there's anybody who wants to challenge the abuse of the prerogative extension or exercise of the powers of the executive in that manner, and actually hurriedly and disadvantaging the nation and leaving a vacuum in relation to state security and the security of the nation, then I'm of the view that if such issues are not addressed as well, we can actually leave Zimbabwe open to a security threat.
Absolutely.
And also even the hurried or harshly or the harsh decision, as we say, it can actually
all the way. After that process of the
it can actually work. It can actually work against the government of the day, especially with this particular, or we call it in inverted commas, strategic reassignment or strategic deployment. The reaction can actually trigger one, mutiny in the military, or two, disloyalty in the military, on the basis that, like someone said, no one is safe. And surely, if the president, as the commander-in-chief, has got a prerogative to merely shift people from one position to the other, dislodge them and fire them, people in the military, and specifically those that I've mentioned who are operatives, they can actually be saying, okay, fine, we are under the command of the commander-in-chief. But however, our position is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let him do what he's doing. Then we will cross the bridge when we get there. It's very tricky in terms of the security of the nation. It's very tricky.
Right. No, I hear you. I mean, is that a conversation, that I thought that, we bring, clarity to, because there are so many things that happen in Zimbabwe. But which, to the layman, they might just ignore some of these things without having a full grasp of the implications, or if there is any. So, just put thought we discuss that so that we can bounce ideas and share ideas. But I do respect the position that you're taking. Kuti, you don't have that authoritative position to say with this that, which I do understand.
Makambona movie mambona movie inonzi law abiding citizen kufana kuiona ndeyekudhara, ndeyekuti sei vanhu vanoteerera mutemo vachizoita frustrated. But anyway, that's a side note. On this one, what you are trying to point out is true. Everything has been done hurriedly. But what the other gentleman is also saying is also true. You cannot determine the timeline of when it happens because it is to the president's discretion. Saka anogona anyora matsamba nhasi and vanhu vobva varaisa ma-issues esekuti hauna kuzoappointa chakata unoita che ongotora ichiappointa. You see, so both those things are accurate. It is pointing to something that is done hurriedly, but at the same time, it is to his discretion. He can do it at 9 p.m. He can do it at 10. It doesn't matter how you interpret it.
Madziko mangu, I do get and appreciate the arguments that you guys are putting forward, but I think you are assuming. And I think the first assumption, that's when I'm coming toto, could this was all rushed. And I think this one that matters. Oh, could he not have waited until 8? Right? You are assuming, guys. So let me start by saying this, Mkomatadini.
I don't complain about law abiding citizen. Kuti tika interjecta so tinozopiwa here mukana yedu yemani because we're going to touch on all those issues. Tinozopiwa here mukana yedu yemasubmission kana utenda atosubmita ndo vadangoziya nongodzikisa kecho kawani ndosana iti law abiding because abiding tikuita law abiding zvandikutrai kutaura inini, I'm not sure about nature. Ndezvekuti there is serious, anyway, everyone here is running on assumptions. These are things that we do not have information about. Chatinongoziya ndechoti panyorwa tsamba zvekuti vanhu vacho vanga vachifunge and for how long they've been thinking about it, we don't know it. Zvafanira kuti this Geza thing has been happening for more than a month, and if someone wanted to protect himself from a mutiny, it means that they've been thinking about the army for longer than 3 days. And their action, though it might appear to you as being abrupt, is maybe something that they have actually been thinking about for the longest time. Their choice of time, again, why they've done it in the middle of the night, atina full information. Pangwanoziva kuti in the middle of the night anenge ari kure nema-over ake haakwanise kufonera ma-captains ake ese kuti ngatisanganei pabhawa. Saka ndosaka vazvita manheru. Maybe manheru aya ndopavari kukwanisa, like when the Templars were dismissed by the prince, by the king of France. Zvakaitwa manheru. Why were the Templars dismissed manheru? Because vaizikanwa kuti vanenge vasina kuungana, so they are easier to attack them. And vakada kutry kucommunicate, we can intercept the communication. Saka zvimwe zvese zvatiri kutaura izvi ma-extensions ezvinhu zvatisingazive as to why the person has acted the way that they have acted. I understand the fascination around it, but we then run the risk yekuita over-interpret so that it fits our own narrative. No risk atechirana. So I might actually be in agreement ndosana chibvunza kuti takutoisa ma-submissions edu. Zvimwe zvese zvatakuita over-interpretation. Hatizivi kuti mukomana uyu ane chiremba vane nguva yakareba sei vachifunga kudzinga ma-army general. Hatizivi kuti nei vavadzinga manheru. To you it might appear as if it's a rash decision, yet maybe it's strategic, because that's the safe time to do it. Akataya kuzviita masikati, pamwe anoziva kuti zvinokoza a serious reaction because the person can mobilize. Apa anogona kuzomuka, pamwe atorara, pamwe anoziva kuti mukomana anorara na8. Saka ndikataura na8:30 hapana anokwanisa kumutsa, pamwe ashandisa mapirisi kuti arare. Apa anozomuka mangwana achida kureacta to this, ini ndenda move dzimwe tsoro, ndenda two steps ahead. You see, that's what I'm trying to say. And that's why I had simplified the response to the specific question. Kuti zvamuri kutaura kuti it appears rushed is correct from your perspective as someone who has not been involved in the internals. But zvekutaura futi, the other gentleman who was speaking, is also correct. It is to the president's prerogative. He can call whenever he wants, to his discretion. Paada chero na 9 kana 3 a.m. hapana ane basa nazo. Imi ndinozosara neinterpretation. Ndo argument yangu mukoma, but ndobva ndachingoroora here kana kuti tichiri pane iyi nyaya iyi. But I think ndochingoroora.
Aiwa, iyi nyaya iyi ndaibvunzira mukoma Amon on the basis yekuti semunhuwo anoziva nezvemutemo, not kuti is a fundi in that particular area, but I just thought that he could just apply his mind to then talk to us pertaining to that issue. Not kuti I was expecting him to, or I was putting him on the spot as a guru around that area. But it's just that something zvatinoziva zvinoitika kuti muZimbabwe vanhu vanoappointwa ma-ministers, they have to be ma-MPs. whether are elected MP or are chosen as a non-constituent member of parliament. Handiti saka ndopanangana kuziva papa kuti since tatoudzwa kunzizo ava hombarume ava vabviswa as commander army commander vaminister of ningi sports saka nhasi uno paari kwezvinezvi pakanzi parudiwa chinhu chinoitwa naminister of sport anokwanisa kumuka here mapjs ake achitomira achiacta saminister of sport anenge aine mandate yacho here yekuti zvaakuacta saminister of sport kana zikanzi izo Kesti Coventry akadedzera kuti izoti ada kumbogara nemusangano nemaminister of sports enyika dzese pasi pano tione kuti izvo tingadhilise nenyaya yerussia kuti tingaiunze here if it is something that happens tingaiunze back here into the fold Olympics. Sanyatwe anokwanisa kumuka here mangwana makuseni achikwira ndege achibaya kana kugeneva achibaya kana kune headquarter yemaolympics kuti adhile nhingi nenyaya iyi. Ndo panga panokuwa nemubvunzo wangu chirepa kuti ndingoziva kuti clarity yacho kuti are we talking about a person who is now in a position amati
ndiwedzerewo ipapo papoint yenyu.
Alright, okay.
Yes. Ndakuresponda kuma-prefects ari kuuya paspace.
Aiwa but guys,
ndakaumira. No. Hata akatamuvha tadaura totodilere neissue. Right. So hold on, Ngoma Amon, hold on.
Is there anybody who has seen? Is there anybody who has seen the resignation of Kesti Coventry as a minister or head dislodgement as a minister?
No one.
No.
No one. Ngoma Gerard, sorry. There is a letter out there, right? Removal of Sanyatwe as defense forces and as army commander. Thoughts. That's the topic that we are discussing here. So we are giving our thoughts. Okay? So those thoughts and opinions, you can come up and give your own thoughts as well. You may think it's speculative. It's what everything that we are saying here, it's based on the letter or the press statement that was issued by the president. So now our thoughts are on the reasonability to say, for a president, how can you issue a statement at 8:30? It's a thought, right? We are asking. The same way someone can approach a constitutional court, right, to impeach the president. We think the president is out of order. How can you remove the most senior guy in the military at midnight? If you are going to make such a move as a president, what does it say? Right? What does it say about you as a president? Are you still fit for purpose? And these are just thoughts. So I feel, you know what, put your submissions if you feel, you know what, you have your different thoughts without being dismissive of other people's thoughts. Because we will still submit. We can, hold on, let me just finish. So we will still submit and say, President MNANGAGWA could have waited till tomorrow. Whatever he did, right, based on the statement that was issued out. We are not talking about the minutes, about the meeting pursuant to this. Whether there were meetings that took place or what, we are not talking about that. We are talking about the press statement, the timing of that statement, and the lack of the strategic focus from our own point of view. That's what we are discussing. And also there's a question to say, okay, for you to remove an army general, do you just do that in just one letter? Then you appoint, you remove in the same letter, you remove a sitting minister, Honorable Kesti Coventry, right? You appoint with this guy who is coming from there, at 8:30. And these are our thoughts. And it's okay for people to come here with their wild thoughts. That's why the space is there, right? Put your thoughts. If you're going to have rebuttals, we'll respond to you based on the thoughts that you are going to put. But as far as I'm concerned,
right,
this issue, this letter, the timing of this letter, there's something wrong, especially for it coming from the president. It shows poor planning from the president's office. It shows the president who is desperate, as president who is scared, as president who is abrupt. We don't want that guy as a president. You cannot wait for tomorrow. If he had nuclear keys or nuclear weapons, who knows? at 8:30 tambomuona kuti masikati akabatwa newhiski akaita sese tose tinomuka takafa kuZimbabwe. So we have a problem with this guy.
Right, and I mean, and also if you look at the letter in terms of section 216, RE termination of service in the defense forces and as commander Zimbabwe National Army and the reassignment as cabinet minister nditi zvikanzi vakatipa maclosing mutemo wemuconstitution wavabvisa vakati munhu uyu has been terminated with immediate effect. Dai kwanga kuti ndizvo ari kukandirwa mugomba tinenge tadovhura nhingi the dungeon totomuterminata tomukanda nhingi mudungeon and then ari kuti resurrected now with immediate effect. Akandwa mudungeon akusumudzwa kubva mudungeon aitwa resurrect now as a minister of sports, arts and whatever with immediate effect. Kuti as it stands, right now, according to this letter, Sanyatwe is the minister of sports in Zimbabwe. But is he a member of parliament in Zimbabwe? Is he taken the oath of Ningichaguti? Kana zvinhu zvese izvozvo hazvina basa nekuti patedzerwa bumbiro remutemo. Those are some of the questions. That is what I just needed, to understand chete.
Yeah, that's why it's share pungwa. I think it's basically pungwa dzinenge dzichiconflictana and pakuconflictana kwepfungwa vanhu vanofunga kuti vari kuita rebut each other. Ndosaka ndiri kuti whatever we are thinking is correct. It's correct what you are thinking because all of us are projecting without an understanding of what happened in the background. But what we can answer objectively in this, one panel later. Number two, the president can actually do what he has done. Now, the question is, how do we interpret it? Do we interpret it as abrupt? Do we interpret it as reactionary? Do we interpret it as a person who is sane and is capable of leading us? That is now personal interpretation. And I think from my perspective, before he even did this, the reason why I'm in opposition is because I do not believe he's the person who should be leading in the first place. So my interpretation is already defined on that aspect. But and this is not to say people do not comment on the same matter. This is simply another thought that is coming to the platform as we are throwing in thoughts. Kuti aiwa, ndizvozvo zvatiri kuona. And to the specific question that you're asking, can he put someone as a minister before he swears them in? A lot has happened. To mention, it has happened before. Could man not mention what is the next minister? As I said, I take any oath. Then to zones go TV could oath mozomona come in for the swearing in and all that thing. So all that drama. But you have already known beforehand. Now, is this happening because ED is reacting to the Geza revolution? I think that is the key question to me. And it is obvious that the reaction has something to do with the Geza revolution. Someone would argue kuti anopamba nevacancy kudhara kesti Coventry angawana basa uko saka akwanise kushanda two majobs. But that is also not true. Aigona kungoreplace kuone umwe akambomhanya. Tine marathon runners akawandisa. You see, so that is obviously not true. Then there's also the aspect yekuti this information
yakaigona za Scott Smith takupukanya sezvo ane football team. Omomira akabata.
Kana upala magaya. Vaigona upala magaya. Magaya vakawaka ningrini yavo stadium yavo yemachemba. Vaigona kuvapo semunhu akuratidza kuti anofarira zvemasipoti. But that's not the reason. The reason is there is someone that has their power being removed. But it does not change to us that are in opposition that this is still a move that has nothing to do with us. We are only spectators that have no influence to it. And we should question ourselves, is it the right position to be? What is really happening in the entire process? But reveal one appointment, which is a second type appointment of the similar nature. Ndeyekuti munhu anobva directly kuarmy achinopinda mucivilian and mucivilian achinopiwa a position of power. Izvi zvinokuratidza symbiosis iripo pakati peZANU PF nethe military. Kuti tinyatsonzwisisa sevanhu kuti chinhu chagara chiri kutitonga hachisi civilian, it's military in nature. Tina general vaida kunopiwa highest position kupolice bureau uko handitika. That's the same thing that is happening here. Telling you kuti these guys are discussing massive matters, very army, and they know that they can replace every civilian an army personnel.
Right.
The military or a certain a hierarchy in the military is what is already in charge of the country.
Right. All right.
Whether CHIWENGA azopinda.
All right. Achimobada wakadaro ningitadini. Neje uda kuti chi.
Guys, maudondisira unhu vamunangagwa
Isa agents mukutara mako iwe.
Madzikoma angu muri kumajor in assumptions madzikoma angu. And the first assumption ndo yanga ichitwa namukoma Toto naSmarters yekuti hanzi could you not wait? Right?
How is that as an assumption?
Let me finish mukoma wangu.
Finish.
Aiwaka teramira SMarters.
Teramira. How is that an assumption?
Aiwaka mira SMarters. Isauka faster guy you
right. Mukoma Jed, let me start by saying that every tiger stride is calculated with precision.
Absolutely.
Very measured, leading up to that critical moment of striking.
That's speculation.
Right.
You are speculating. You can't say every.
Can I finish speaking?
It can be miscalculated. It can be miscalculated.
Can I finish speaking?
Right, okay. Let him let him finish. Okay, let's go.
It is fundamentally flawed to assume that this was hurried.
Right, okay.
It's a fundamental flaw to assume that. And I will tell you why. That guy, he has been playing this game. He's experienced in this game. Number one. Number two, there is nothing to suggest that this redeployment was not done without consent. It's all about optics. I going
to be dropping you.
And I'm wondering some of my contribution and okay. Thank you. This guy knows the game that he's playing. Right? This might as well have been done on consent. For what purposes, one might ask? If you want to create an impression that I'm in control, if you're suspecting the military of helping or supporting Gaza without knowing who, what you might want to do, you all know the saying, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. So if there's anyone who was working with Gaza or considering it, then you see one of your top commanders, generals, being redeployed in a fashion that appears to be a demotion or something like that, right? You'll be thinking, at a reactor say, options, then you'll be like, oh, finish. We don't have any other options here. So this might be actually a very huge smoke screen, a game. So we don't know. So let's not assume. See, this thing, what if it's by design?
According to the law, right? According to the constitution, he has been terminated with immediate effect. And then he has also been appointed Minister of Sport according to the constitution with immediate effect.
My heart sinks.
And then in Dobandazoti, we know Kuti one appointment is an MP. I mean, one appointment as a minister, there has to be appointed, there has to be sworn in. Mandatora oath varying in parliament. And that hasn't been done. But yet we are being told that in the other minister with immediate effect. So the first we pardon now, another minister, sports. Is this constitutional or unconstitutional, that can be a question that I would want to pose as well.
Uncle Jed, my heart sinks every time Zimbabweans bring the constitutional argument. What constitution do you guys speak of? Now, I want to speak to you, Uncle Jed, right? And thank you for bringing that constitutionality argument. We all saw how that thing about Ola played out. The state said, we don't have a case against Ola.
But with a case against they are blessed.
So what law are you speaking of? Like, what law are you speaking of?
The law of the jungle.
This, Uncle Jed, this might as well be a game. This might well be a game. Guys, read The Prince. Read The Art of War. You guys, you
right.
think the mistakes that you make.
I want to bring in a practicing lawyer in Zimbabwe, right now. Could I do bad somebody who's practicing
lawyer?
I haven't finished. I haven't finished speaking.
The subject.
Guys. Can I make my point?
No, guys, I need to hear the views of a practicing lawyer.
Yeah.
And the interpretation of everything. You know that has happened.
But you want 15 seconds. Practicing
lawyer. No, I'm still speaking. No.
How are you, Ango? Assumptions.
All right.
Let us not go down that route. I'm going to stop to that. But anyway, the reason why that I'm going to kill this in once and for all. At least if we have somebody who's a practicing lawyer in Zimbabwe, they can give us an interpretation of this because one code. What is that than for us, to be going back and forth, this argument. They're practicing lawyer.
But Uncle Jed, Azania Peds
wakandi sibomira iwe uchataura. Sibomira. Leno Ruiz tora chimuti.
Akazoaccuswa futhi.
Because
Nejay assume kuti Sanyatwe was the shepherd, right? Right? How can you accuse us of making assumptions? Then in the same sentence,
Smarters cannot be allowed to run around like
Who told him that is a game?
No, Smarters is being a gazer here.
Right. Mirai, guys. Mirai. Can you allow me, can you allow me to do this? Please, guys. Can you allow me, to do this? Right. Lennon, can you take the mic?
He is coming. Let me make my point.
He's not walking to the podium.
Let me make my point. Then he can.
No, he's not walking to the podium. He's here. Come on, guys. Lennon, please, take the mic.
Yeah, what's up? Uncle, so there's a letter circulating from the Chief Secretary of Cabinet, and it refers to 3-4 legal provisions. So if you look at Section 216, 216 simply says the president is the commander-in-chief. It lays the powers of the commander-in-chief, who is also the president. Then 340, particularly Section 340, subsection 1, it speaks to the powers of the president to appoint, to reappoint, to vary conditions of service, to transfer on the basis of promotion to any office, to fix and vary conditions of remuneration, any benefits on termination of service, then to suspend or to remove a person from an office. So this letter says, in terms of Section 216,
read with Section 340, subsection 1 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, and Section 115 of Commander-in-Chief, the prerogatives of the Commander-in-Chief in terms of the Defense Act. So 115 simply speaks to the privileges that are accorded to whoever is the Commander-in-Chief of the army, that they've got certain powers that are accorded constitutionally. Then in terms of the Commander-in-Chief, in terms of the Defense Act, then in terms of the Commander of Defense Forces legal provisions, the President in his capacity as such and as Commander-in-Chief of Zimbabwe Defense Forces is relieved retired Lieutenant General Anselm Sanyatwe from the Zimbabwe Defense Forces and as a commander of the Zimbabwe National Army with immediate effect. And then, in terms of Section 104, the of the Constitution appoints Lieutenant Anselm Namo as Minister of Sports and Recreation. So 340, 216, and all these provisions that are quoted, he's simply flexing his powers in terms of the law. The law, especially the Constitution, if you look at 340 subsection 1, provides excessive powers for the president to do certain things. There are about 6 things that the president can do. Number 1, to reappoint a person to a certain office, to appoint a person on promotion or transfer to a certain office, to appoint a person to act in that office, to appoint a person to act to that office while it is being held by somebody. The president can even if Kirsty Coventry is still the Minister of Sport, in terms of Section 340, subsection 1, subsection D, the president can reappoint or appoint somebody to a certain office while that person is still holding that office, or if that person is on leave, or if that person is pending relinquishment of office. So that could be a key provision to interpret whatever has happened. I've not had sight of Kirsty Coventry's resignation. I'm not too sure of her position in government, whether she's still the Minister of Sport. But in terms of Section 340, subsection 1, subsection D, the president has got power to appoint somebody to that ministry or to any office whilst the incumbent in that office is on leave or is leave of absence, or that person is pending relinquishment of that office. So that could be the provision that best describes the current situation between Sanyatwe and Kirsty Coventry. There are also then 2 conditions in terms of subsection E and subsection F, where the president can suspend.
On that point, Lennon?
Yeah. So I'm looking at the 2013 Constitution. You can also maybe if you have a gadget or something, just look at the particular provisions that I'm looking at that have been quoted in the letter, Chief Secretary of Cabinet. Mm-hmm. So without speculating, my cursory look at the provisions that have been quoted vis-a-vis what is appointed of what is provided in terms of the Constitution, there seems to be constitutional compatibility in the exercise of relinquishment of office or reappointment or promotion or transfer to any other office. The president has that prerogative. If you read the 3 conditions that have been,
So that on footing of that provision and on your analysis of things, that transfer redeployment might as well be by consent, correct?
It could be by way of any other possibilities that can exclude by consent.
Thank you.
Did you hear that? Did you get the response?
Yeah, I get it.
It could be by appointment, but there could be other possibilities
by
as
any
well.
other means apart from consent. So I understood him. What's your point, Matters?
There's a letter yakes to Coventry, the good determination of appointment of as minister, and then he acted in terms of section 108 1A of the constitution, and he has relieved the case Coventry from a position as minister for following a well-deserved election as the president of the Olympic committee. So that letter is there. That letter is provided. Yeah, released by released by at the same time.
At the same time.
Yes, they are released by So now, so now, now that we understand the powers that he has, the section of the constitution that he has relied on to make these decisions that is made, and according to that, it has been communicated to the Zimbabweans that this appointment is immediate. The determination is immediate. The appointment is immediate, and given the provisions of the constitution, the constitutional provisions have been satisfied. When it comes to that regard. So the question in Nini Anangandinayo Yangeri Kuti, for one to act and serve as a minister in Zimbabwe, they have to be a member of parliament. So what takes precedence? Is it being sworn in as a member of parliament and then immediately, assuming, that role, or just being appointed and then the swearing in parliament can come in after this appointment, he has been made? Is there anything that can be considered an illegality in as far as what the president has done tonight?
Thank you so much, Uncle. Before I respond to that, Section 108 speaks to the tenure of office of a minister or a deputy minister.
Mm-hmm.
And it simply says the tenure of a minister or a deputy minister can only become vacant under 4 conditions.
Mm-hmm.
1, if the president removes that person from office. 2, if the person resigns by way of a written notice to the president. Then number 3, upon assumption of office by a new president. So if tomorrow a new president comes to power, the office of any minister or deputy minister becomes vacant by operation of law in terms of Section 108, subsection C. By operation of law, that ministry then becomes defunct. But to answer your question directly, Uncle, if you carefully look at the...
Council, it does not mean by operation of the law that ministry is defunct. There's no ministry that becomes defunct. The ministry continues, but the minister is relieved of their duties to head that ministry. Not that the ministry is defunct.
That provision might as well be open to interpretation. So I think
thank you very much for your correction. I made a mistake to say ministry instead of minister. Thank you for that correction.
Right, go on. On the question, come on, guys.
But angocheza mozombopawo ka 2.8 ambo ndipo zvoma zvaanazvo
amana two boy alright aiwa ndingembise zvara vangu but matizo
atubo yakatukwa nezuro atomboda recover
alright kwano tukatozora kungu ndiani we okay Lenon finish off
yazokudzai akatukwa
alright and Lenon I'll finish off.
Yeah, on paper, looking at provisions that have been quoted in that public notice by the Chief Secretary, it appears that there is constitutional compliance.
Right.
And if you go through the provisions that the Chief Secretary is quoting, it's quite constitutionally procedural. And I do not see anything on paper. But if you then look at provisions of the Defense Act, number 1, if you then look at certain provisions of the Command of Defense Forces. There are certain conditions which I can only speculate, or that we can only speculate. There is a requirement. I'm not too sure if it's a requirement or it's by way of practice, that an army general needs to be notified of an intention to retire them. Number one. Number two, if my constitutional interpretation is correct, no one assumes the office of a minister by operation of or law until Parliament has been notified. So there is a requirement in terms of must be Section 106 or prior sections before 106 of the Constitution that says before anyone assumes the office of a cabinet minister, there is a requirement to give notice to the secretary or to the speaker of Parliament, and that notification must then be given to both houses, and then they are taken to the president to take an oath of office. Then number two, we know in our constitutional dispensation, the 2013 Constitution, there are two types of ministers. Ministers who assume positions in cabinet by virtue of being voted as MPs. Then the Constitution also provides a limited number of positions in cabinet where somebody who's not voted as an MP can, on the prerogative or election or nomination by the president. For example, Mutuli Ncube is not, when he ran his first term as Minister of Finance, Agawe is a technocrat. He was not even voted for to any position in Parliament or anything. I'm sure Agata ran again, Aga 4 years after my elections at Againgrena, but he's still running as a minister. Kirsty Coventry, for example, I know for a fact that she was not a parliamentarian, and she was on a non-parliamentary seat, Mukabinet. So, if that is the case with Sanyatwe, which we know is the case, that Sanyatwe has not been voted in Parliament for any position as a legislator, I do not think the letter that then immediately appoints him as a Minister of Sports and what is compliant with the Constitution. There is a special notice that is then to be given to Parliament for processing, and then Parliament consents to the nomination of a candidate to be a non-parliamentarian minister in cabinet. I'm not too sure, Ango, if I'm explaining this very well, to say if that requirement is not met, then there are provisions within the Constitution, which I shall find must be somewhere before 106 or 105, somewhere around there, where that requirement is stated that notice has to be given to the Speaker of Parliament first, and then from the Speaker of Parliament it has to then go, because these are three arms of government that are totally separate. So I doubt if there is compliance there, that you then immediately appoint somebody, an MP, without giving that prior notice which is required in terms of the Constitution.
Right. I've understood, what you said, and I don't know what I'm going to say, but that is, that was the point, that I was trying to actually zone in on, in terms of one serving as a minister in Zimbabwe, because we know that there's that provision. You have 5 slots are now appointed technocrats. This is why when I'm telling you Rakapinda, Keskovit Rakapinda, back then, and there were other 3 people as well that came in as my technocrats. And now Kirsty Coventry is gone. We know that, there's a vacancy, right there. And she was a technocrat. And now Sanyatwe, is coming in, and I'm assuming that it's coming in as a technocrat as well, because he has not been chosen by by any constituents for him to serve as an MP. And we know Kuti, my ministers, they are chosen from a pool of MPs. MPs who are selected and those who are appointed on that aspect of one being a non-constituent member of parliament. So the question, that I had, which I want to believe, Kuti, you have responded to, is Kuti, is his immediate appointment as minister, does it take effect immediately now, or we have to wait for that process of him going through parliament and take, the oath of office? Because this guy has not taken, the oath of office as it stands, right now. He has not done, anything like that. He has not touched, the Bible. He has not touched, the Quran, or he has not touched even if he's believing, in that, for him to be a member of parliament. Saka appointment yache can it be regarded as a constitutional appointment for him to serve immediately as a minister in Zimbabwe? Which I want to believe, Kuti, the provisions and these, your explanation has sort of helped me have a clear understanding, or it has advanced me to a certain position in terms of my understanding, or in terms of the question that I had pertaining, to that. So thank you very much.
Uncle, but now hanzi hakuna munhu anotorwa futi opiwa bhora anosara achifara. Plus mundara ane nyembe dzakawandisa toenda kupi nyembe dzese
mukoma Lennon ndandingobvunza wanika angu kuna mukoma Lennon wasati aenda unozokora nekunyeberwa panapa wakaenda
matazana atotaura zvaanotaura.
But Nyamaswisaka, I don't
guys, when does that send up the submission?
Nyamaswisa, statement yake ataura panapa because he must withdraw his statement when he was commenting about me or something. Let's be